Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a little different of a video. We actually got challenged by one of our very own subscribers to do a 5-year rebuild of Northern Illinois using the base rosters that originally came with NCAA 14. And you know what? I'm not one to ever run away from a challenge, so that's exactly what we're going to do here in today's video. We are going to do the best that we can to have a dominant 5-year run with the Northern Illinois Huskies here on NCAA 14. We are going to use the college football revamp simply because it does make it look better, but it's going to be a good one, man. Make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe if you do happen to be brand new. As you go ahead and get a little bit of background information on Northern Illinois, I do like the pipelines that they have for the most part. Obviously, they do have a pipeline state of Illinois, which I'm not surprised of, but you also got Florida, which is a hotbed of high school football talent, and then also have, Missouri. Missouri's not a bad state to have, and Wisconsin is right next to us to have, so we can get some solid guys. I would like to eventually try to get Texas if we can help it, but that'll be pretty interesting to see right now. As for the rest of our roster, though, let's go ahead and take a look at the roster right now. We got a star player, Larry Woods. He's a senior redshirt for us. He's got 85 speed, so first season we should be really good, but then after that we do need to find ourselves our next heir apparent. Could be Robin Cummings, could be Kirk Zeiger, could be a Northern Illinois player that isn't on our roster yet. We can get through high school recruiting for a time being, but one thing that I do like, there is quite a bit of talent on this Northern Illinois squad, but that being said, not everyone on this team that's starting for us here in season number 1 is a senior, so we'll have plenty of senior players come back. Maybe not particularly on the defensive side of the football. We're gonna have a brand new line starting season 2, but other than the defensive line, we should have plenty of starters coming back to us, for future seasons. One thing that we need to get ourselves a kicker, because we are going to sim the whole thing, so having a kicker will be a little bit more important for these simulations. And then we'll also check out the stats for your school going forward. Got some good things to work with. Coach Prestige, that's an A+. We are using an existing coach. Tyrone Walker is the current coach of Northern Illinois. And then we got a good stadium atmosphere, good championship contention, and then good coaching stability as well. So, we got some good stuff to work with. The question is, can we build ourselves into a national powerhouse? Because I think we can do well within the MAC conference, and just being able to, be great at the national level. As we'll go ahead now, look around and see what players are going to go ahead and redshirt here in year number 1. We are going to redshirt a couple of running backs, Casey Jackson and John Ross. Both of them are true freshmen, but I imagine none of them will get significant playing time from the jump because they are so buried in the depth chart. And we have our two top running backs are seniors right now that will be playing. So it's going to be important to redshirt them, allow them an extra year to develop before they see the field here in season number 2. But after that, I'm pretty sure this is the only these are the only redshirts I actually have, because I always like to make sure that we have at least 3 strings of players, at the same time before I go ahead and do anything. So yeah, man, let's go ahead and check out the schedule, and then we'll sim through a quarter of the season to see how we're doing. So this is actually our schedule for year number 1, and I actually like the schedule. We can definitely make a run. We start off on the road against Iowa and Purdue, which are winnable games in my opinion, and then we have a little tune-up. We actually have FCS Midwest, then we play Memphis, which I believe with the base rosters, they weren't that great at the time. Then we go into our conference play, taking on our typical MAC conference opponents. So, I think we can, go ahead. Anything less than a MAC championship here in year number 1, it's going to be a big disappointment. But that being said, I'm going to simulate through the first 3 games of the season, and then I'm going to get back to you guys. Alright guys, so We made it through the first quarter of the season, and we're currently 2-1, which, to be honest, that was kind of where I expected us to be, considering we did play 2 Big Ten teams on the road. But that being said, we started off the season number 24 in the nation, but that being said, we are no longer, in the top 25 for this one. Actually, matter of fact, we're not even receiving votes, so they didn't really like that Iowa loss, but we do end up beating Purdue, and then we also make sure we took care of business and beat that FCS Midwest team as well. Taking care of them easily. A game that, no problem for us winning. But yeah, even in the Iowa game, we were pretty competitive in. We only lost 22-13. But then, as season has gone on so far, our offense has only gotten better. 27-21, we end up beating Purdue on the road, and then of course beating that FCS Midwest team. Defense is looking pretty okay too. Next few games we do play against Memphis, Bowling Green, and Akron. Akron, I don't think we should have any issue playing against. Memphis, though, it's going to be a regional broadcast game. We are hosting them. I think we can win this game as well. And then Bowling Green will be an interesting matchup as well. They're 3-1 so far, and they already have a win in conference play. So, I mean, we just got to continue to take care of business. And let's go ahead now and check out the recruiting board that we got going on so far. So this is the recruiting board that I have thus far. And, one thing that I really wanted to do, I know that we are going to be able to compete at the conference level, right? That's the unique situation of this rebuild. The number of conference championships, I think we can win at least 3, in this rebuild if we do things right. But can we compete at the national level? And that's what I'm trying to get, some better guys on my recruiting board. And it's some mixed results. Donald White, we are winning. He's 74 overall corner. I think we can end up getting this kid, but other than that, we might be in a bunch of recruiting battles. Philip Carlson, the number 12 kicker in the nation. We're in a huge battle between us, Indiana, Northwestern, and Michigan State. Luke Harris, we're 5th right now. I think we still have a shot of getting him, but, we need a little bit of help there. Kurt Dykes, we're still in as well. Very close one. Jared Gates should sign with us. Alvin Houston is another tight one. Matt Robinson should be a commit. Terrence Richardson is actually somebody that no one's going after, and this was a guy that was probably on the verge of being a gem prospect. He only has 68 speed, but I do like his throwing attributes. He can be a guy that we can redshirt. David Hall, we're in a battle for. Adam Phillips, it's a close one between us and Louisville. But we got a good set of guys here. And I'm really liking the recruiting board that's really coming together for us here early on. We also have our first commit. Jerome Wise did commit to the squad. He's a fullback, but he's 71 overall and was a gem prospect for us. So I definitely love to see that going forward. So with that being said, I'll go ahead now and sim to the halfway point to see what we can do. That being said, let's go ahead and see where we stand at the halfway point of the season. Alright, man, so we made it through the halfway point of the season, and we actually got ourselves some more commits on the squad, which I'm really excited to see about. Jared Gates is the most notable. He's a 3-star corner who can contribute for us right away. Joel Sullivan, who's only a 1-star guy, but he's a 61 overall. He'll be a good depth piece for us. Same with Matt Robinson, same with Jared Parks. Not a flashy class so far as of yet, but we're still waiting to get some of our big hitters. For example, Donald White is a person where we're pulling away from Duke, and I feel really good about signing him. Alvin Houston, we're still in it. We're on top as of right now, but it's a long recruiting battle yet. Same thing with Luke Harris. We're still in there. Philip Carlson, the number 12 kicker in the nation. We're in that one. Kirk Dykes is the same thing as well. Terrence Robinson, even, we're pulling away. Nobody went after this kid. This was a guy that was a borderline gem prospect, and I love that we're going to be able to bring this kid onto the team here pretty soon. Once he takes his visit, I imagine. David Hall, I feel pretty good about signing. We have an advantage on Kent State when it comes to that. And then Adam Phillips, I feel really good about signing him too, simply because we have our visit first, and we are closing in on Louisville, in this recruiting battle. A couple other guys that we're going after is Derek Thomas for depth purposes. We found him, you know, could be a nice depth piece right away. Same with Zach Powell. Gary Johnson fills a need for us. It's not guaranteed that we get one of the best safeties in the country. So Garrett Johnson, he's more of a, you know, backup option just in case that we don't end up getting him. We can start closing in on Air Force if that is the case. Mac Brown is also one of those backup options for us because we are in a battle with their kicker. Somebody that I want to try to get onto the squad as soon as possible if we don't end up getting the number 12 kicker in the nation. Same thing with Robert Banks, Brent Slaughter, and Jason Green. We can continue to build that depth on our squad going forward. As for how we've been rolling on the football field, we actually been doing pretty good, all things considered. We take care of business against a winless Memphis. We win 44-23. Same thing with Bowling Green, arguably our toughest opponent that we played since that Iowa game, which is looking pretty good for us. They're 5-2 and they're 2-2 in conference play, so that's not a bad loss for us whatsoever. We won by 3 scores there, and then of course we played against Lowey Akron, and we take care of business there as well, 37-7. And you know, the rest of the season doesn't seem too challenging, man. We are pretty fortunate. We only play against one more team with a winning record, and that's in this next quarter of the season. That's Buffalo. They're 2-0 in conference play. Mind you, despite the fact that we started off ranked in the top 25, and on top of that, we also have a 5-1 record, we still are not ranked in the top 25, although Alabama and Stanford, as well as Notre Dame, are getting first place votes. But as for us, I'm looking for us right now, and we are finally receiving additional votes. So, you know, I assume if we go 3-0 here in our next, few games, we should be ranked in the top 25. As for the conference standings for us here in the Western Division early, we are sitting up on top, but that's because we're the only team in the conference that hasn't lost a game in the conference play. Granted, we've only played Bowling Green and Akron over on the Eastern Division. We still have to play all of our MAC West opponents, but, you know, I'm looking at our squad. The only team that may give us just a tad of trouble is Toledo, and maybe Ball State as well. And that's the only two games where it could go either way. But, you know, Ball State, you know, particularly, we're at home, so I'm not too terribly worried. And then at Toledo, you know, we go on the road for them, but I do believe as long as our quarterback stays healthy, you know, and thankfully for us, we have been pretty healthy thus far, we should be fine. But yeah, let's go ahead and sim this next quarter of the season, see what else we can get going. Let's see if we can get to 8-1, man. Alright guys, so we continue our winning ways, and because we continue our winning ways, we're actually now 8-1 here in our first season doing this, little Northern Illinois rebuild. And team's been playing really well, man, here in the last few games. You know, we win against Central Michigan on the road. Eastern Michigan, we had a little bit of a letdown, but we still came out on top. And Buffalo, who actually is the best team that we have left, we beat them 37-3. And at this point, we now control our own destiny in the MAC Conference. We are in a very good position to go ahead and give ourselves the opportunity to go ahead and see if we can take care of business the last few games. Our last 3 conference games that we have going on here, as we'll go ahead now check out the conference standings in our on our side of the division. We're currently 5-0, so we have a 2-game win lead on the rest of our division. Ball State and Western Michigan, I believe, we actually have to play all 3 teams that are, you know, trying to chase us. Actually, Toledo, they're not in a position to go ahead and try and compete for a division title, but, you know, Ball State and Western Michigan, you know, they're not outside the realm of possibility by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, if we can go ahead and win at least 2 of our next 3 conference games, we will have an opportunity to play in the conference championship. Now, over on the east side, it does look like Ohio has the inside tracked, with Buffalo and Bowling Green not too far behind. Difference being, Buffalo and Bowling Green are teams that we played. We did not play Ohio from the Eastern Division, at least for this season necessarily. But you know, we're doing a really good job of taking care of business. That's something that I do really like to see going forward. You know, that's something that I'm personally a huge fan of. As for the top 25, we are getting a little bit of love again. Alabama, Stanford, Notre Dame, and Florida are still all sitting at the very top. And even if we were undefeated, I don't think we would be in a position maybe to be in that top 2. Maybe number 5. Somewhere between 5 and 7, you know, at most. But that being said, we did go into the top 25 rankings. We were 25 before that game against Buffalo, and then we're now up to number 20 in the country. But we still are getting passed by teams like Northwestern. Clemson and Florida State aren't too far behind us either necessarily when it comes to, you know, pulling respect. But it does feel good to be back in the top 25 once again. Just got to make sure we go ahead and make sure that we go take care of business from here on out. Now, as for the recruiting side of things, we did get a little bit of a blow. Both Kirk Dykes and Alvin Houston did go ahead and lock us out. And unfortunately for us, we don't have a chance to go ahead and, you know, try to unlock these guys. We actually used our one lock on Luke Harris because that was a need for us, and right now it's paying off for us. We are currently in the lead for this guy. Haven't knocked anybody out yet, but we're still fighting for him. It's going to be a battle that will likely take into the offseason. But Kirk Dykes and Alvin Houston, though, you know, we aren't going to be able to bring those guys in. It was a little ambitious to try to bring them in, but I mean, it is what it is. I still like our recruiting class, even though we haven't brought it together, you know, completely just yet. A lot of depth guys, a lot of guys that, you know, probably could use some time to be redshirt, but we also have a few impact players like Donald White, Jared Gates, Terrence Robinson, Jerome Wise, you know, guys that can come in and play right away. And we're starting to get to the point where, you know, we can start that low lock cheese. So let's see what that yields for us. So we went ahead and, you know, check out to see which guys were being recruited, and we found ourselves a little bit of a jackpot here. Now, Jason Anderson was somebody that we looked at because we still need somebody at that free safety position. Want to avoid getting walk-ons in at all costs, but look who else that we brought in potentially. Lionel Ingram, he's the #1 athlete, and the thing is, he doesn't have any scholarships, so, you know, that's somebody we're going to try to go after right away. Same thing with Orlando Bell. Orlando Bell doesn't have any scholarships. Eric Smith doesn't have any scholarships. Quentin Richardson, he's a balanced quarterback, 4-star guy, doesn't have any scholarships either yet. And then Zach Smith is somebody that we'll try to go after as well. He's a 4-star guy, does have scholarships from Nebraska and Central Michigan. But that being said, you know, we'll go ahead and see, you know, what kind of recruiting that we got going on. And free safety is a 67, so that's not bad. Lionel Ingram, he falls down to a 78, but, you know, still has some really good skills that we can use. Orlando Bell, he shoots up to a 78. Eric Smith, what you got for me? Oh, that guy is a gem. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and put everything into Eric Smith right away. You know, make sure we bring him in. Quentin Richardson, he's actually a bust, so that's a little disappointing. And then Zach Smith is also a bust. So a couple of busts here, but we got 4 guys at the very least that we can start, you know, trying to pour our love into for Shea. You know, trying to bring these guys into the program. So we went ahead and, you know, check out to see which guys were being recruited, and we found ourselves a little bit of a jackpot here. Now, Jason Anderson was somebody that we looked at because we still need somebody at that free safety position. Want to avoid getting walk-ons in at all costs, but look who else that we brought in potentially. Lionel Ingram, he's the #1 athlete, and the thing is, he doesn't have any scholarships, so, you know, that's somebody we're going to try to go after right away. Same thing with Orlando Bell. Orlando Bell doesn't have any scholarships. Eric Smith doesn't have any scholarships. Quentin Richardson, he's a balanced quarterback, 4-star guy, doesn't have any scholarships either yet. And then Zach Smith is somebody that we'll try to go after as well. He's a 4-star guy, does have scholarships from Nebraska and Central Michigan. But that being said, you know, we'll go ahead and see, you know, what kind of recruiting that we got going on. And free safety is a 67, so that's not bad. Lionel Ingram, he falls down to a 78, but still has some really good skills that we can use. Orlando Bell, he shoots up to a 78. Eric Smith, what you got for me? Oh, that guy is a gem. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put everything into Eric Smith right away. Make sure we bring him in. Quentin Richardson, he's actually a bust, so that's a little disappointing. And then Zach Smith is also a bust. So a couple of busts here, but we got 4 guys at the very least that we can start, trying to pour our love into for Shea. Trying to bring these guys into the program. In the meantime, though, we do get out of our bye week. We play up against Ball State, and Ball State, it seems like, we're in a position now, even with beating Central Michigan on the road. If we win this game, we can go ahead and clinch our conference title, because we would have the tiebreaker on Ball State. So yeah, only thing left to do, let's see if we can go ahead now and clinch our conference, but our division title, and guarantee ourselves a trip to the MAC Conference Championship. And we do, baby. We beat Ball State handily, winning by a final score of 47-17. So now we clinch ourselves a trip to the MAC Conference Championship. And we'll have to wait till we sim out to the next week and see who we're going to be going up against, when that conference championship game comes to us. So we made it to the end of the regular season here in season number 1, and we finished with an 11-1 record. Beyond that loss to Iowa, we have been on a 11-game winning streak, which I absolutely love to see that going forward. As we go ahead and check out our results from season number 1, and particularly towards the end, making sure that we clinch a trip to the conference championship, winning big against Ball State. We also win big against Toledo, and then finish out by beating Western Michigan on the road. We win that one by a final score of 35-14, and I absolutely love to see that going forward. And you can see on the corner side of the screen as well, we actually do finish. We're number 9 in the entire country, it looks like, so I'm really excited about that. And honestly, I think we can move ahead of teams like Oklahoma State and Georgia, and dare I say it, maybe even Texas. Maybe finish borderline in the top 5, make ourselves to a BCS bowl game. And if we need that to happen, all we really need to do at this point is go ahead and make sure that we do take care of business in that final game. So we'll see what happens with the conference championship game, and all that good stuff. But I like where we're standing here at number 9 in the nation. As for recruiting, recruiting isn't going necessarily as good as I want it to go. We only have the 92nd ranked recruiting class, which is a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. That being said, though, we do have some guys that we're working on for sure, that we found through the Low Lock Cheese, that could really help boost our recruiting ranking going forward. One, Luke Harris, actually, he's locked out, and we don't have any more locks to use, so we have to get rid of him. But other than that, we're going after quite a few high-profile players, such as Orlando Bell. We're looking at Lionel Ingram, Eric Smith. We have the inside track on all of these guys. Derek Hall, I also feel pretty good about, and Adam Phillips, we're in a tight one as well. We do need to make sure we spend some points on defensive end, just to make sure that we have somebody to rock and roll with going forward. We also have Nathan Taylor, which actually Oklahoma and Texas both discovered him as well, and that's going to be really tough to try to prime away, because Oklahoma and Texas, they're much bigger high-profile programs instead of Northern Illinois. This kid has 95 speed. Would love to bring this guy onto the squad. Doug Alexander is another gem that we ended up finding, but looks like Florida is pulling away from them pretty easily, and they haven't even offered a scholarship. You don't win all of your low lock cheeses, but it is what it is. We are in it for Jason Anderson. We will have to spend points to go after him. Same thing with Robert Banks. We do have going after Walter Charles as well. Hopefully some of these guys that we're going after, they do end up signing with us. And worst case scenario, you can always try to see, go about changing some positions in the off season. But I like how our recruiting board is still looking. We can still add a ton of talent on this roster going forward. Another thing that we also found out as we simmed to our last bye week before we go into conference play is we will play against the Ohio Bobcats. They finished 9-3 overall with a 7-1 conference record. And I think Bowling Green was a team that originally had the inside track, but Buffalo managed to play spoiler, and Ohio takes care of business against Toledo. A very close one though, 19-17. So looks like we will be playing up against Ohio, and it looks like we're pretty similar in terms of like our standing. We do have quite a few guys that are injured. A couple of our corners actually hurt, as well as a right guard. But Woods, doing a great job as a dual threat quarterback. Has almost 40 touchdowns between rushing and passing. So we get to conference championship week. We come in ranked number 8 in the nation, but despite the fact that we come in ranked number 8 in the nation, check out where they have us going in bowl protections. They have us just going to the Quick Lane Bowl. It's still the Little Caesars Pizza Bowl. I don't know why the logo hasn't changed for that, to be honest with you, but I'm really feeling the disrespect, to be honest with you, just because we're ranked number 8 in the nation. We're one of the best, teams in the country, unless it's just because there is a group of 5 squad that's ranked higher than us. I hope that's not the case. We'll see what's going on, just make sure what's going on. And that could be why Boise State, ranked number 2 in the nation, is the best group of 5 teams. So Northern Illinois having a great season, but that being said, Boise State undefeated, going into their conference championship week. So it looks like if we want to go to a BCS bowl game, not only do we have to go ahead and win our conference championship game, but that also does mean that Boise State will need to lose against San Diego State if Northern Illinois is going to have any chance of going to a BCS bowl game. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck at the Quick Lane Bowl, which would be a really difficult one to take in. But you know what? We can't worry about what's going on throughout the rest of the country. We just have to go ahead and focus on our conference championship game. We got Ohio. Let's make sure that we go ahead and take care of business against the Ohio Bobcats at least. Alright, man. So we're here at the conference... Alright, so we're here at the conference championship game here in season number 1. Let's see if we can finish things out. We do win the coin toss, so Ohio is going to go ahead and get the ball first to start this game. And it looks like, Ohio is off to a pretty decent start, but we do go ahead and take the lead here, early in this first quarter before giving it away to Ohio. So Ohio, they're leading us here early. They're up 10-7 right now. Let's see if we can pick things up a little bit here in the second quarter. And there we go, baby. That's a nice big run for us there. I certainly love to see that. And we get another drive going. We're up by a field goal now, but Ohio does respond. We do get some points on the board before the end of the first half. And we got an exciting one here, man. We're up 24-7 going into that third quarter. I certainly love to see that. Let's see if we can keep it up here in this third quarter. We do start with the ball, and we get a touchdown on our first drive. And we're starting to try and run away with it here. We're now up by 38-17. Let's see if we can extend this lead further. And we're up 38-17 going into the final quarter of play. So we just got to make sure we go about, finish things out so that we can go ahead and call ourselves conference champions, here in this game. Ohio does get a touchdown on the board. We're trying to run out some clock. Ohio trying to make a comeback, but there just isn't going to be enough time left on the clock, and we end up winning this thing by a final score of 45-24. You absolutely love to see it, and we get ourselves a MAC Conference Championship here in season number 1. Checking out the team stats for us, we dominate with total offense. We had more total offense than the Bobcats. We forced more turnovers as well. They had 3 turnovers, whereas we only had 1. We also had more passing yards, rushing yards, you name it. We done did it, and we took care of business, controlled the game, played more disciplined football, and that's going to really help us with an opportunity to go to a BCS bowl game if it's in the cards for us. As for Larry Woods, he was fantastic in this one. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Dude has progressed up to a 98 overall. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up getting drafted when it's all said and done. As for rushing, seniors Alex Roger and Larry Wood took care of business as well. Alex Rogers particularly, 175 with 3 scores. Receivers, we were led the way by Marlon Garrett. He's a true junior from Gainesville, Florida. He had 7 for 78 for a touchdown. Erwin led the way with yards though. He had a touchdown as well off 4 catches. And then Josh Lynch was able to find the red zone. The sophomore red shirt, 2 for 37. For blocking, we had a guy that legitimately had 13 pancakes in this entire game. 13 pancakes, that's insane. Offensive line was just dominating for the most part. We did allow a couple of sacks, which I don't necessarily like, but that's going to happen when we have a scrambling quarterback that does like to improvise for the most part. But defensively, we played really good. Charles Barnes led the way. He had 12 tackles from the defensive line. That's impressive. As well as 3 TFLs. Chris Cunningham, no slouch either. He got a sack as well. We ended up with 2 total sacks in this game. Jamie McCall and Marcus Williams each had interceptions. Mike James was able to force a fumble and get a touchdown. Or not a touchdown, but, recover his own fumble. Still really good. And yeah, we're going to be MAC Conference champions, baby, here in season number 1. So there is that MAC Conference trophy that I certainly love to see here, man. I love how it looks nowadays. We're not going to add it, though, because we have we have so much trophies from our time playing NCAA, and I don't want to risk getting rid of those some of those NCAA 14 trophies from back in the St. Thomas days. So want to keep it nice and safe going forward. Also going to put an upgrade in game management just because we did go ahead and won a big game in the conference championship. So I'd certainly love to see that. Only question now is, what's going to happen with Boise State? They come in ranked number 2 in the entire country. So we'll go ahead and sim that game real quick, see if San Diego State can pull the upset, and they can't. So 34-7 is what Boise State ends up doing. So that means they'll probably go to the national championship game, here in season number 1. But as for us, though, we'll go ahead and check out, where we're gonna go for our bowl game. Because we should at least get a decent bowl game. Hopefully, it's better than the Quick Lane Bowl. So here with the base rosters in season number 1, we do end up winning the Heisman Trophy with Larry Woods. And he, it was a close one between him and the quarterback from Texas A&M, which I'm assuming is Johnny Manziel. But our guy balled out, man. 3,400 yards passing, almost 1,000 yards on the ground, and 41 total touchdowns. Not to mention leading us to a conference championship. Hopefully a big bowl game as well, but no. It's actually the Quick Lane Bowl against Arkansas State. I'm a little crushed, man. And we fell down to number 10. That's insane, man. We imagine winning big in a conference championship game, and you end up losing a couple of spots in the final BCS Bowl. I mean, make it make sense. And we go back right to where the conference championship game was in Detroit, Michigan. You hate to see it. Guess we're going to have to take it out on Arkansas State, man. They're in a world of trouble, that's for sure. So Woods does end up winning the Heisman. We also end up winning the AP Coach of the Year award. So a couple of awards that we got to bring into the program, which I certainly love to see. I'm very excited about that. Only thing left to do now, we play against Arkansas State in the Quick Lane Bowl. Let's go ahead and make sure that we take care of business against the Red Wolves from the Sun Belt Conference. Alright guys, so we are here at the Quicken Loans Bowl, and Arkansas State won the coin toss and is giving us the ball here first. Hopefully, we can make them pay for it in a big way here. as although on our first drive we actually stalled out a little bit of a defensive battle here early, but we will be on the first team to be able to get on the board. We had to settle for a field goal though, which is something that I'm not necessarily a big fan of, but we got a nice little drive going on here, trying to get it up to about midfield here before the start of the second quarter. Let's see if we can finish this drive off, and we don't. We actually had to settle for another field goal, and that's the thing, you know, we've been in the red zone multiple times today, but we have had to settle for field goals every single time. Hopefully, we can finally finish one of these drives eventually, as we should be beating Arkansas State, but we haven't been able to do that just yet. We're actually down 14-9, and really, it should be 28-14 at the very least, but we still have a second half left to play. Let's see if we can, you know, turn around here offensively here in the second half. And Arkansas State, they found their rhythm on offense, and we're actually, you know, struggling a little bit even when we try to go ahead, you know, get positive field position. Just can't seem to do anything with the ball. We're down 17-9. So not only at this point we need to go ahead and get ourselves a touchdown, but we need a 2-point conversion, which we do end up getting. Although Arkansas State, they answer right back. They retake the lead, and we have it all tied up at 24. Can we finish the comeback? We got the field goal. Can we keep them out? Yes, sir! And it was a close one, man. I'll tell you what, but we end up winning this game by a final score of 27-24 and win our bowl game in order to finish out the season. So for this one, it was a little bit tougher for us to get up in here. We were in the red zone 9 times today, but only came out with touchdowns, and 2 of them got settled for field goals 4 times, and then the other 3 times we didn't even go ahead and, you know, get any points when we were in the red zone. So that's something a little bit concerning going forward. It was a tough one for us, probably one of the worst games that we played this season, but we still found a way to end up winning. We had almost 300 yards passing, almost 250 yards on the ground as well. We kept Arkansas State to 4-13 on third down conversions, which is something that I do like to see. And we won the turnover battle once again. We got a fumble, and we didn't turn the ball over, which is something that was really important for us going forward to help us go ahead and win this game at the end of the day. As for our stats, Larry Woods, the Heisman Trophy winner, not his best day. He was 19 for 40, but had 291 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, with the ground game, Jason Finley was able to take over. He ended up with 40 carries and had 187 yards on the ground, led to a touchdown as well. You know, really carried our offense today. Marlon Garrett was the guy that got into the end zone for us in the air. He had 7 for 89, but Derek Irvin was our only 100-yard receiver today. He was 5 for 104. For the blocking, once again, Kent Young was dominant on the offensive line for us. He had 11 pancakes. Cedric Higgins had 9 pancakes. Chad Hughes did allow a sack, but had 8 pancakes as well. And Jamar Cade, 6 total pancakes. We were just having a pancake party there on the offensive line. And then defensively, Tony Johnson led the way in tackles for us. He had 7 total tackles in this one. 2 TFLs as well total, which both of them went to Chris Cunningham. We did not sack this quarterback, unfortunately, but we do get 1 turnover. That was caused by Anthony Jones, our senior defensive tackle, who was able to recover it for us as well, which I definitely love to see. So there it is. We do end up winning the Quick Lane Bowl here in season number 1. Something that I feel pretty good about. Even though it's not a BCS bowl appearance, we wholeheartedly deserved it. Boise State just ended up having a slightly better season than we did. That's the reality of being a group of 5 program. You know, even when, you know, maybe you are deserving of an opportunity to go ahead and go to a BCS bowl game, rules like that are gonna, you know, keep these kinds of teams out. But it's still a great season for us. We finished 13-1 and have nothing to be ashamed of. So we actually did go ahead and get at least one record. Our quarterback Woods ends up breaking the single season record for most passing yards in a season, done by Chandler Harrison. And it's one thing that I really like is that it doesn't tell you, 1963 quarterback, had the record. It actually shows you the actual person. We also broke George Bork's record that was held since 1963 for most passing touchdowns in a season. Broke that joint in the bowl game, and it feels really good, man. I feel really good about where we are as a football program, and we do end up finishing number 6 in the nation. So, I mean, that being said, the only thing left to do now is go ahead and check out, the stats for the season, and some other notable things that happened throughout college football. Let's see what else went down. So we do end up making it through our first season. We end up finishing number 6 in the country. We win our bowl game, and we also win our conference championship here in season number 1. So something that I definitely love to see going forward. But let's go ahead and check around the league to see what other notable bowl games happen. First, we'll go ahead and check out, how did we do as a conference overall. So, I did mention that we won our bowl game against Arkansas State, but famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Buffalo beats Air Force by a final score of 34-31, which I definitely like to see. Ohio ends up winning the Independence Bowl against Utah, so the team that we played against in the MAC Championship, they take care of business as well. And Western Michigan, they play against Coastal Carolina, they win the Capital One Bowl and ended up winning 35-14. And then Bowling Green, the last team that ended up playing, they played up against the Raging Cajuns. Lost 34-14, but Raging Cajuns did finish 22nd in the nation. So MAC as a conference did a really good job. 4-1 conference among our teams in conference. So that's something that I really like to see. But we'll go ahead and see what else are some of these bowl results that we got going on here. Chick-fil-A Bowl, Arkansas State ended up beating Florida State 31-24. Let's see, what else do we have? Outback Bowl, Texas A&M beats Michigan 48-28. Texas A&M finishing in the top 5. Rose Bowl, Oregon beats Wisconsin 24-3. In the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, Oklahoma beat Notre Dame narrowly. Oklahoma winning 28-24 in that one. Sugar Bowl goes to the Stanford Cardinal. They end up beating the Texas Longhorns 34-19. Illinois beats West Virginia in the Cotton Bowl. They end up winning 24-10. Orange Bowl going to Alabama. They destroy Georgia Tech, winning 42-20. And then in the BCS National Championship game, South Carolina does beat Boise State 47-24. Usually I would like to do a college football playoff, but since the guy that I'm going up against, doesn't use Revamp or anything like that, we're just going to do base Dynasty. I just use the Revamp at this point just because it looks better than the base NCAA 14. But that being said, we had ourselves a really solid season at the end of the day, and that's something that I really like to see going forward. And speaking of things going forward, let's go ahead and see if we have some All-Americans. Checking out the first team, I don't see any first team All-Americans here. We'll see if we have anybody on that second team All-Americans list. We do have Larry Woods, who did win the Heisman Trophy. He was named a second team All-American. Other than that, I don't think we had anybody else. Sadly, we didn't. But Larry Woods did a really good job for us this season. Heisman Trophy winner, would not be shocked if he was a first round pick in the NFL. Speaking of Larry Woods, this was his stats throughout the course of the season, and he had a really solid campaign. Larry Woods ended up throwing 33 touchdowns versus just 10 interceptions. For a scrambling quarterback, that's really good to see, and he had 9 touchdowns on the ground as well, ended up with 1,000 yards rushing. And the best thing about him is that he stayed healthy throughout the season. That's the best thing that you can do. 98 overall. He should be able to, have a really legitimate chance of making it to the NFL. Our future starting quarterback, Robert Cummings, came into limited action, 1 touchdown, 1 interception this season. I would imagine, come next year, he'll be either in the high 80s or low 90s, if we're lucky. But we shouldn't have too much of a problem competing again next season. As for our running game, we actually almost had 2 1,000-yard rushers here in season number 1. Alex Rogers ended up with 13 touchdowns on the ground, so he did a really good job once again. Receivers, again, almost 2 1,000-yard receivers. Marvin Garnett was 5 yards away from 1,000 yards, and Josh Wentz, he was only 43 yards away. So we almost had 2 1,000-yard receivers. That didn't happen, but Josh Lynch did end up with double-digit touchdowns. He led the way of 11 receiving TDs. Marlon Garnett and Nick Johnson were tied for second. They each had 7. David Hunt, our tight end, who's coming back next season, he had 5 touchdowns. Derek Irwin ended up with 3 touchdowns as well. Jason Finley found the end zone too through the air. Blocking, we had a ton of pancakes. Cedric Higgins and Kent Young were both tied. Actually, him and Chad Hughes. So we had a really great offensive line this season, and 2 of those 3 guys are supposed to come back next season, so I'm really excited for that. Offensive line in general was really good, and that led to the success that, you know, our quarterback had, ended up winning that Heisman Trophy. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Tony Johnson led the way in season 1. He ended up with 70 total tackles in this one, with Marcus Williams ended up with 60 tackles as well. We also had plenty of TFLs. Chris Cunningham, Anthony Jones, and Tony Johnson all had double-digit tackles. Nobody in double-digit sacks though, but we did have quite a few players that ended up, you know, getting to this quarterback here at the same time. Marcus Williams led the way with interceptions. He ended up with 4 INTs throughout the course of the season, so I like to see that. With Jermaine McCall and Jonathan Carrington, each had 3 interceptions each. Eric Bray, Victor Moses, and Brian Henry, most of which are guys that are coming back next season. They had multiple INTs as well. As for forced fumbles, Brian Henry and Perry Medley each had multiple forced fumbles throughout the course of the season, with Curtis Allen and Jared Crawford each with multiple recoveries. We had a field goal or punt blocked by Curtis Allen, so shout out to that special teams unit, and our defense did score 3 touchdowns throughout the course of the year. So this is how our kicker did throughout the course of the season. He was alright. He was 21 for 30, had a long of 79 yards. He did make all of his extra points, but nothing too terribly crazy though. As for our punting game, punter was alright. Did we have any kick returns for a touchdown? It seems like we did not, but hey, we're still 13-1, and I certainly love to see that. Only thing left to do now is go into the offseason and see what else is happening. So, the good news for us is that we did end up getting a contract extension after our great first season, which of course we are going to go ahead and accept. They give us a 4-year extension. We're, you know, loving what we've been able to do, you know, these past few seasons. So I certainly love to see that going forward. And, you know, it feels good to have that job security going into season number 2. So what we did do is, of course, we did accept the coaching extension because, you know, it is a Northern Illinois rebuild. But that being said, though, we actually have new coordinators to work with. It looks like Ken Bowser is our new defensive coordinator, and then Mike Watson is our new offensive coordinator as well. So Ken Bowers and Mike Watson are our new, coordinators that we get to, be working with. Let's see if we can go ahead and try to, try to find them real quick. Gotta go ahead and give me a second. So Ken Bowser actually was the former head coach at UNLV before he actually ended up being fired. And UNLV was a little down bad. They finished 1-11, back in season number 1. So they definitely had it tough for sure. As for our offensive coordinator, he actually was the head coach for Memphis, who, if you guys remember, we actually played them in the previous season, and they finished 2-10, and they did decide to go ahead and let him go. It's been a little bit rough for Memphis football, at least when these base rosters came out. But that being said, we do add on a couple of former head coaches onto the squad, and that will really help out our room, because that is an improvement to our room. And we're also checking out some players that are graduating, and it looks like, surprisingly, we only are gonna have one professional player, Jamie McCall. He's a senior from Alexander City, Alabama. They're currently having him projected as a 7th round pick. Surprisingly, Larry Woods is not going to the NFL. I don't know if it's just because he's undersized or what's going on there, but he's a Heisman Trophy winner, for Pete's sake. I'm sure he'll get an opportunity as an undrafted free agent if that actually is the case. So while We didn't get any people transferring out of the program. We also didn't get any people transferring into Northern Illinois, so that's a little bit unfortunate since we do have quite a few scholarships to work with. And we did confirm that Jamie McCall was a 7th round pick in the NFL draft. The Alexander City, Alabama product will be our first professional player from NIU here in this rebuild. And the question is, can we build up from here? We finished number 6 in the country in our first season, so I mean, we gotta shoot for a top 5 finish here, next season, even though we may not have as talented of a quarterback as we did in season number 1. But that being said, let's go ahead and get to our recruiting and see if we can go ahead and try to finish out this recruiting season strong. So right now, going into signing day, we come in with the 94th ranked recruiting class, which I do admit is not a very good recruiting class whatsoever. But that being said though, we are having some heavy hitters that could really help us improve our recruiting rankings significantly. I mean, check out the talent that we're thinking about bringing in here. We're looking at guys like Orlando Bell, Lionel Ingram, and Eric Smith, who all 3 of those guys that I just mentioned, they all have a significant lead. So if we put a few points into them, I'm sure they'll be able to sign with us. David Hall and Adam Phillips were in a battle for them as well. We do need some help at defensive end and the free safety position to make sure that we don't have any walk-ons signed. Speaking of free safety, Jason Alexander is the guy that we're going after as well. We will have to put some points into him. So that being said, I am going to come off screen real quick and figure out what I want to try and do. Okay, so we do have 10,000 points to spend it over, and we put a little bit into Orlando Bell, Lionel Ingram, and Eric Smith. We're the only program that's going after these guys, so I didn't put too many points into them because I still feel pretty confident of being able to bring these guys in at the end of the day. The 3 main pieces that I went after is Doug Alexander, which by the way, we're the only scholarship that we went after, but we're still down on Florida. Nathan Taylor, who we're in a fight with not only Oklahoma and Texas, but Florida and Oregon have also jumped into a fray, so I did go ahead and put in free K for him as well to make sure that he stays here in Illinois. And then the other person that we're going after is Jason Alexander. He's from Adamsville, Alabama. They just had a 7th round pick, I believe, from that place. And it's between us, Southern Miss, and Alabama. Florida State also offered a scholarship, but they're a little bit far off. I put more points into him because that is a position of need. So in total, I have like 6 guys that I'm going after, and if everything goes well, we won't use all 25 of our scholarships, at least here in season 1, but we'll have a really quality class. So fingers crossed. Let's go ahead and move on to the signing day and see what happens. Okay, so while we didn't go ahead and get all the guys that we wanted necessarily, we did get some really quality players. Most notably, Doug Alexander does decide to come to Northern Illinois, so I'm really excited about that. We also get Adam Phillips, David Hall, and Jason Anderson to make sure that covers our team needs. And then Robert Banks and Earl Powell also end up signing. We end up signing 7 prospects, 5 of them being 3-stars, 1 being a 4-star. And we do at least make sure we take care of our team needs. But how about some of those guys that we had big leads on, but we straight up blew it? I knew that was always going to be a possibility. So let's go ahead and see what happened there if they stole from us. Lionel Ingram just straight up did not sign with us. He did not want to play college football anywhere. Not really feeling Northern Illinois. Maybe we just didn't put enough points into him at the end of the day. So that's a little unfortunate. Andrew Bell actually looks like they stole from us. Same thing with Eric Smith. Yeah, they went on runs. But it is what it is. Nathan Taylor we're about 800 points off from, unfortunately. We were in it, but we just didn't put enough into him at the end of the day. Doug Alexander, though, we beat Florida by 2,000 points. So at least we got that going for us. And, overall, even though it might not reflect necessarily in our top classes, I still think we put together a pretty decent class. 73rd in the country. That's not bad for a 3-star program. That's where we expected us to be. Not the best class in the conference, but we know we don't have the worst class in the conference. I do like the depth that we're bringing in overall. So we get to position changes now. We finished with about 73rd overall class. It's a decent class, like I said. And now we'll just go ahead and see, where we can go ahead and find ourselves in a great position. And it looks like he fits best as a free safety, so we're just going to go ahead and put him over there, because free safety, again, was a position for need for us. He might not start for us right away, but he'll be a contributing piece for that defense, particularly because, free safety, isn't our best position in the world necessarily, but, we can go ahead now and check out some other places that we could potentially go to moving forward, and just trying to see if there's any places that we could possibly go to make some changes to our roster. And I'm thinking I want to move Doug Alexander simply because he has the ability to start right away. I don't want him to sit behind Kent Young. Kent Young was really good for us. He actually could be an 80 overall tackle, by the way. That'd be something to see right there. But we're pretty good at center, so I'm just gonna go ahead and move Doug Alexander over to that right tackle position, and then he'll start right away, and help out that offensive line. As for the defensive line, since we have multiple freshmen coming in, I'm gonna go ahead and move Adam Phillips over to that left end spot. So now we'll have Adam Phillips sit behind Charles Barnes, at least for his freshman year, maybe get in every once in a while. And then David Hall could potentially compete for playing time up against Barrett Burgess. Remember, one thing that I did note is that we are going to have a whole new defensive line. This is some fresh faces, so they're going to definitely have to step in and make sure that they're ready to go from the get-go, if that's the case. And then finally, just looking around the rest of the roster, I think that's all that I want to do for now. Let's go ahead and move on to the training results. So this is what the training results end up rocking and rolling for us. And Robert Cummings, he's the best player on our roster once again. A junior redshirt who does end up as the 87 overall. Like I mentioned, high 80s, low 90s is what we were looking for, and that's what we got. But we did also have a bunch of players rated in the 80s, and then we brought in a handful of freshmen as well that did end up could be a nice contributing factor for us here later on. A couple of them being instant starters, or at least getting some immediate playing time. So I'm feeling really good about this roster, even though that we only had was it ranked in the 70s in terms of our recruiting class going into season number 2. Now, the hardest thing to always do is to make cuts, and unfortunately, going into season 2, we will have to make a few cuts to our roster. It also hurts when our worst player on the team is a senior, Dedrick Henderson. Since we made that improvement at the fullback position, we can go ahead and get rid of him. Also might go ahead and get rid of Earl Powell, because he might not be very good. And then after that, it's a little bit of a toss-up, depending on really what we're feeling. Let's go ahead and see what's going on with each of these positions. There's 4 tight ends that we have on the roster, and the thing is, I'm going to keep Brent Swatter because the rest of the tight ends ahead of him are juniors and seniors. So later down the line, we are going to go ahead and need him. Zach Powell, on the other hand, there's another freshman here, so I actually feel really good about getting rid of him if we're allowed to, which we do. And yeah, we're already down to 70 players. So that being said, let's go ahead and get ready for season number 2. Let's get it. Alright guys, so we are now here getting ready to start season number 2 of the Northern Illinois Rebuild. The path to make ourselves a national championship contender. And let's go ahead and check out the red shirts going into season number 2. We have more than what we did last season. Terrence Richardson, for example, he's going to be red shirt. He's just quite down on the depth chart, but he has the ability to start, in the next few seasons. So, he'll have plenty of time to grow and develop as that balanced quarterback that we do get to utilize. At the halfback position, we have Sean Carter and Brian Wilkerson, who are some newcomers onto the squad. They're both getting redshirt as well, since we don't need them right away, but they can play a role as well later on. Over at the middle linebacker position, we have Joel Sullivan, a 6 foot, 227 pound guy from Mount Prospect, Illinois. There's a few upperclassmen that are ahead of this guy as of right now, and you know, again, you know, another guy that don't expect to contribute right away, more depth at this point, so just gonna go ahead and redshirt him, you know, give him some more development. At cornerback, I decided to go ahead and redshirt Gerard Gates. Gerard Gates seems like a guy a little bit more raw talent, 92 speed. That's something that I do really like to see, but you know, we have quite a few cornerbacks that are already sitting ahead of this guy, and since we only run a 4-3, we only have, you know, 2 maybe 3 corners on at a time. You know, he's a fringe second string guy at most at the moment, but I really like his potential. I'm gonna go ahead and redshirt him for the future going forward. And I actually think that's my last red shirt that I have. Yeah, it is. But, you know, so that's what our red shirts are looking like going into season number 2. As for our strength schedule, we're at an F strength of schedule once again. We start off pretty easy. We play against FCS East, home of the Howers, and then we have 4 straight road games after that. We play on the road against Wake Forest, we play against Arkansas, and we'll play against Old Dominion as well. On top of that, we have a road game against Ohio, which if you remember back in season 1, that's who we played in the conference championship game. So first conference game is a rematch of the conference championship last season. Then we go into the rest of the conference play: Bowling Green, Central Michigan, Ball State, which is one of our rivals, Buffalo. Then we finish out on the road against Eastern Michigan, and home games against Toledo and Western Michigan once again. So, you know, we'll see if we can go ahead and take care of business once again, you know, here in season number 2. So this is also what my recruiting board is initially going to look like going into year number 2. And, you know, we're just looking at this class right now, you know, got plenty of guys that are interested in us that are, you know, higher overalls than what we had back in season number 1. And, you know, we even have a couple of 4 stars that are interested in us. And even like some more 4 stars that we can't even get to. Bobby Johnson, for example, he was a 4-star guy, but it looks like he's a bust, so I might actually go ahead and remove him off the board. That was a shame because he was right here in Illinois, you know, so that's really hurts personally. Jason Lewis is another one. Doesn't quite necessarily meet expectations, but still 69 overall. That's not bad for a prospect, and a 4-star guy that gives us extra points like to, you know, to go ahead and work with. But yeah, and then Mike Norman, you know, we need a punter. I'll eventually put some points in the punter, but you know, there's some better guys I don't want to go after. And if we do end up with a walk-on at punter, it's not the worst thing in the world, you know. So it is what it is. We'll see what we can do here in season number 2. But if you want to go ahead and talk about disrespect at the national level, I'm looking at the preseason polls going into season number 2, and I am not seeing Northern Illinois in the top 25. Granted, we are at number 32, and we shoot up a little bit overall wise, and that's despite the fact that we had our 98 overall quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner, graduate and not make it to the NFL somehow. That's crazy. But overall, we shot up quite a bit. 84 overall offense and 80 defense. So we got, you know, some decent stuff to work with once again. We should be in a position to go ahead and compete for a conference championship here in season number 2 as we go ahead and check that out real quick. And yeah, you know, we're looking like the best team, at least in our side of the division. So we'll have the best opportunity to go ahead and repeat. Nobody else really has both an 80 overall offense and an 80 defense. So, and we got a pretty solid quarterback. That was the heir apparent here in the short term. So, you know, with that being said, only thing left to do now is sim a few games and, you know, see how the squad's doing after that. Alright guys, so we made it through the first quarter of the season, and we end up finishing 2-1 to start things off. First loss was coming in the last game, but we played against Arkansas on the road, and we just got shown that SEC speed, man. They scored 24 points in the 4th quarter to pull away from us. We were playing tough with them the entire time, but, you know, some things were just not meant to be, man. I mean, look at this. They had 6 touchdowns through the air. They threw it literally all over us. Granted, it doesn't help when you turn the ball over 4 times. SEC defense, we found it out the hard way. That doesn't feel good, man. It doesn't feel good whatsoever. Although it looks like our backup quarterback had a decent amount of time in the game. So hopefully that doesn't mean our starting quarterback is hurt. You know, we'll go ahead and check that out. And so while our starting quarterback isn't hurt, we have a major injury at the halfback position. Jason Hurd tore his shoulder, so he's out for the season. Our right guard, Ryan Yancey, also tore his pec, so he's out for, you know, at least 1 more week. But we'll get him back, you know, probably just in time for conference play. But yeah, that's unfortunate, man. 66 points, you know, can't blame that on the offense. That's going to happen every once in a while. But recruiting wise, though, taking a look at this recruiting board, y'all, we're absolutely killing it right now. I actually need to take some points away from a couple of these guys, because like we have them pretty much on lock. Like they're not going to come back on us anytime soon. So I can go ahead and focus that on some other guys on our recruiting board that I want to go ahead and get after, you know. So yeah, man, recruiting's going really good, and the only thing left to do was sim another few games just to see how we do like going into conference play, see if we can finish non-conference play strong as well, and bounce back against this ODU squad. Alright, so we may have lost our, you know, 2nd game of the season already. We lost big too, surprisingly. We lost 7-31, so we lost 2 of our last 3 games, and I'm not gonna lie, little bit concerned. Considering this is a team that we handled easily in the conference championship game last season, but hopefully we can get things back on track, and we do against Bowling Green. We do end up winning this game 38-31. Taking care of business, not a problem there. So we go ahead and improve to 4-2 here in season number 2, and the thing about this game is we had quite a few people that did come in and visit, so hopefully that does mean we actually get quite a few commits. And if we do at least get 1 commit, I'll have to show you guys how our recruiting board is looking, and also, you know, how we stay in the recruiting rankings, because what I'm seeing on my recruiting board right now, we're off to an amazing start right now. Alright, man, so we end up getting quite a few recruits actually. We got a 72 overall defensive tackle, Sean Jackson, who's a 70 overall wide receiver, Eric Edwards, Barnett Harrell, even get Tom Givens and Tim Harris as well. So that's 6 commits in 1 single game, and that already means we fill out our team needs, you know, for the whole season. So that's something that I definitely like seeing. We are 4-2. I was hoping to be at least 5-1, but I'm not surprised that we did take a little bit of a step back, given that our Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback graduated last season, and we're not off to a bad start. We're 42nd right now in the recruiting rankings. We haven't brought any 4 or 5-star players in just yet, but I'm really liking this class coming down, and we should be getting some more commits here down the pipeline eventually. You know, a lot of the guys that we put some points into as of right now, you know, we have the lead on, you know, when we're trying to pull away, you know, from these schools for sure. So, you know, in the near future, we should actually go ahead and get some more of these commits to come in the near future. I gotta actually put a little bit more into Trent Smith. He's a center that we're looking at as well. We're closing in on Nebraska. We can actually catch them. It seems like they're not really putting too much effort into him yet, so let's just go ahead and do that. The real question though is we have 1,500 points still that we have to work with, and just trying to see where else to put them. This guy looks promising right here, Ken Love. He's a tackle that could, you know, come and be a nice depth piece for us for sure. As I still need to scout some of these people. I haven't gotten the chance to scout some of them just yet, but you know, maybe we'll find some diamonds in the rough here. That's what I like to do, just like get some like 2 3-star guys that are just diamonds in the rough. Alright, so meanwhile for us, we do win our next few games after our little tobacco against Ohio. We're now 7-2, and we're now back in the top 25. We're ranked number 23 in the nation now. And our recruiting board, I have to tell you guys right now, it's coming together really well. I love seeing what we got going. Right now, we have a top 10 class. We're ranked number 9 in the nation in terms of our recruiting class. We've already brought in 3 4-star guys, and that number could easily increase. I mean, look at the teams that we're recruiting up against. You know, a lot of 5-star, 6-star programs, you know, all of which are in, you know, Power 5 conferences. And then there's us, you know, from the MAC conference. Not even the best group of 5 conference in the NCAA, man. That's us, man. You love to see it. Again, the class is just coming together extremely well. We have 10 scholarships remaining, and, you know, what we got going on, you know, there is a lot of guys out there that, you know, 4-star, 5-star guys that weren't being recruited, and, like, we'll go after them, why not? And for most of them, like, we are in the lead for them. Exception is Andrew Haynes. We'll probably lose him to Texas, and Aaron Kelly, we're down by 1,000 points. But that being said, he's a gem. We're closing the gap on him. Ryan Pearson, we're winning that recruiting battle. Shade Bennett, he's a 4-star guy. Was only a 68 overall. That was a little disappointing, but he's leaning towards us right now. Gary Bennett, another 4-star guy. We just took a lead on him against Ohio State. Trent Smith, we just took the lead on him against Nebraska. Justin Hunter, that's a depth piece. Terry Martin, you know, that's a guy that we just found recently, matter of fact. But he's increasing his interest in us. And then same thing with Manny Rogers. Although it looks like West Virginia is trying to go after him as well. And then Ken Love, you know, Ken Love will sign with us any minute now. So it's coming together now. It really is. Actually, let me go ahead and take a few points out of Ken Love. Put that there. Okay. But yeah, it's really coming together now. I really love to see how things are just progression, and I love to see it. So taking a look around the country, this is what we're dealing with as of right now. And Northern Illinois, they're currently sitting second place in the division, 4-1 conference play. But look who the team ahead of us is. It's Ball State. They're 5-1 conference play. They're having a nice conference season, but you know, if you guys remember, earlier this year, we actually did beat Ball State 35-16. So, you know, we took care of business there. Things are definitely getting tight out west, but on the eastern side, it does seem like Ohio is going to run away with the division yet again. They do play against Kentucky. It's a non-conference matchup, but after that, they play against Central Michigan, and then they play against Miami. 2 teams that they should go ahead and beat, so wouldn't be shocked if we're taking on Ohio, which, by the way, is ranked number 18 in the nation. So we have 2 teams in the MAC this year that are currently ranked and can potentially play each other in the MAC Conference Championship. So, I mean, MAC Conference, you know, the MACtion, you know, looking not too shabby. So, I mean, that being said, at this point, you know, we just got to take care of the games in front of us. One of the games that we have, Eastern Michigan, this should be a cakewalk. They have a D+ defense. You know, one of the worst passing offenses in the country. Their total defense isn't very good either. So, yeah, man, let's see if we can go ahead and get win number 8 here of the season. And we do. We're 35-7. We take care of business easily. We go 8-2. Alright, so we win the game against Eastern Michigan, and now we are hosting Toledo. We're actually tied with Ball State because they're on the bye week, so we got to keep winning these games, and we do just that. We beat Toledo. We win by a score of 31-18, and now our final game of the season, Western Michigan, depending on what Ball State decides to do, might be either next week will be our clinching game, or this game right here will give us the opportunity to clinch. Let's see what happens when we get through the end of this sim. So, while we end up taking care of business against Toledo, Ball State also, to be fair, ended up taking care of business as well. They beat Miami University 35-31. So, what needs to happen is Ball State has to beat Central Michigan at home. And then on top of that, we need to get upset by Western Michigan in order for Ball State to, you know, go to this MAC Conference Championship game. All we need to do, on the other hand, we either, you know, easiest thing, beat Western Michigan outright. That'll get us in, or Ball State loses their game against Central Michigan, and then we'll still be able to go even with a loss. Meanwhile, on the other side, Ohio Bobcats did clinch. They fell down to number 23. They did take a loss to Kentucky, but they're still ranked in the top 25. But we are ranked ahead of Ohio this time around. So that's a good sign to see. And speaking of the top 25 polls, let's go ahead and check out where we are in the top 25. I do want to see if we're in a position to maybe potentially go to a BCS bowl game. And I'm just really trying to see if, if there's anything major going on. So the Raging Cajuns are currently ranked number 9 in the nation. So it looks like if the season ended today, then the Raging Cajuns would actually go to a BCS bowl game. We'll be, going to a lesser bowl game, unfortunately. And, we are the second best group of 5 squad, but we're 9-2. We're ranked 20th in the nation. We'll need the Raging Cajuns to lose, and then we just need to continue to win some games in order to make sure that, we get that BCS bid. That's what we're ultimately shooting for, here in season number 2. But before any of that, we got this game at home against Western Michigan. Let's see if we can win it in the sim so that we can go ahead and clinch a trip to the conference championship game. And we do so with ease. We win by a final score of 45-7. And so that will punch our ticket to the conference championship game. We will go ahead and play against the Ohio Bobcats. Alright, man, so we're here now at the conference championship game, and Ohio actually found the top 25, so we're here once again. This is a rematch of not only last year's conference championship, but also on top of that, a game we played earlier this season where Ohio dropped us off, but I really do feel like we're much better than we were last time around. That being said, though, no matter what happens, I don't like our chances personally of going to a BCS bowl game because the Raging Cajuns, they're ranked number 7, and Sunbelt don't have a conference championship game, at least not here in NCAA 14. So, unfortunately, that does end up meaning that UL Lafayette's going to likely go, and then same thing with Connecticut. They're ranked number 12 in the nation, and they're not even going to a conference championship game. Well, actually, that's supposed to be Charlotte. I don't know what's going on with that. I'll have to try to figure that out on my free time. But, number 16 in the nation, that's not too shabby. Let's go ahead and try to win this championship game so that we can go ahead, and finish this season strong. Let's get it. Alright, man, so we end up winning the coin toss, and we're actually going to go ahead and defer. So, that being said, Ohio is going to get the football first, and that being said, if you guys are enjoying this little Dynasty Wars challenge that we got going on here, man, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe if you do happen to be brand new as well. As that being said, we got a close one here in this first quarter, man. We're only up 3-0, but Ohio is trying to put together a drive, and they do end up tying things up, but we have a turnover, man, and that means Ohio is taking the lead. We're trying to stay in this thing. Ohio's certainly giving us our best punch, but we do respond before the end of the first half. We do get a touchdown before it's all said and done. So, it's all tied up at 10 apiece. We do get the ball first to start the second half, but we don't do anything with it until we get a turnover the other way. We're now up 17-10. We just gotta be able to go ahead and finish some of these drives, and we're starting to do that now. We're up by 2 scores, which means we're up 24-10 going into the final quarter of play. So let's go ahead and see if we can finish this out so that we can become champions of the MAC Conference 2 seasons in a row. But Ohio's going to desperately continue to try and fight back. They get a touchdown, midway for the fourth quarter, but we do end up going ahead and taking a knee. We run out the rest of this clock, and we are champions of the MAC Conference. We win this one by a final score of 24-17. They may have beat us in the regular season, man, but we win when it's important, when championships are on the line, and it was a pretty close one throughout the entire game. But that third quarter was the ultimate difference for us. We end up winning that third quarter, and that helped us propel ourselves to an opportunity to win this game. And this was despite the fact that Robbie Cummins didn't have that great of a performance. 234 yards passing, sure, but 14 for 33, only 1 touchdown through multiple interceptions. A little bit of a sloppy game from our quarterback, but that being said, the running game carried us today. A freshman redshirt really showing out, has really stepped up since our starting running back went down. 37 for 129 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Receivers also putting in that work as well. Nobody had more than 4 catches, but Josh Lynch was able to find the end zone. 4 for 83. The blocking, Kent Young again, just an absolute beast. He had 10 pancakes, and then Jimmy Rogers wasn't too far behind him. He had 9 pancakes in this one. And then defensively, we had Tony Johnson lead the way in tackles. He had 11 total tackles in this one, followed by Donald White, a true freshman, by the way. He ended up with 8 total tackles in this one. Multiple TFLs, defense was just flying all around the field. That's what you get for, only allowing 17 points. We did get 3 sacks as well. Tony Johnson was 2 of them. Barrett Burgess had the 1. I don't think we had any interceptions, but we had 2 forced fumbles by Brian Henry, in which both of them were recovered by him. So Brian Henry, even though he only had 1 tackle, he had himself a heck of a day. Even though we didn't have any interceptions. So, you love to see that. We are MAC champions in year number 2. So we go ahead and win ourselves another MAC Conference Championship, which I absolutely love to see. And not only that, we also get ourselves another upgrade, which I think we're going to go ahead and use that on the game manager. Since we do, get into at least like the Super Sims, for like these big games like conference championships and the bowl games as well. So, at least there's that. Only thing left to do now is go ahead and sim to bowl week to see which bowl game that we're actually going to go to. So let's see what we end up getting. So we win our conference championship, but for the 2nd year in a row, we also fell in the rankings a little bit. We fall from number 16 down to number 17, and we will go to the Quick Lane Bowl once again. This time taking on BYU, the home of Zach Wilson, who just got drafted to the New York Jets. It sucks that we're going to the same bowl game again, and it's the same place as our conference championship, but BYU should be a pretty good matchup. We're pretty even across the board, so it's going to be really interesting to see how this one plays out. So hopefully we can go ahead and win our bowl game as well, since we did end up winning the conference championship. So yeah, let's wait till we get onto the field, and then I will come back to you guys when it finally loads in. Man, so we're back out here. We're ready to go ahead and get this thing going, and we won the coin toss yet again, so we are going to go ahead and defer it to the Cougars, which they couldn't take advantage of that first possession, and it's a pretty tight battle here early on. No one has been able to get across midfield until we do, but we can't finish the drive. We don't get any points on the board, and yet we're at the end of the first quarter. Still, nobody has scored just yet. Hopefully, we can go and turn it around here. Although BYU, they have a chance to put some points on the board, and they finally do. So, we're down 7-0 here early. Our offense, who has been really talented throughout the course of the season, they've been stifled a little bit here, only allowing 7 points. And, we're going into the second half. This is a battle, man. It is 7-7 right now. Neither team really budging on the defensive side of the ball. Whoever has a critical turnover is going to go ahead and win this football game at the end of the day, as we do get a touchdown here, man. We take a 14-7 lead. We even nearly get another touchdown. We trying to go for it here. Looks like on 4th and 1, but we dropped the pass. So we can't score from our own 1-yard line. That's crazy. I would have went for the field goal maybe, to get that 2-possession lead, but BYU at least has to start from their 1-yard line, and on the next possession, we actually get a safety, so a little bit of an awkward score, 16-7 as of right now, and it's actually our defense, not our offense, that's probably going to go ahead and take care of business, and they do. So for also the 2nd year in a row, we do win the Quick Lane Bowl, and we win this one by a final score of 16-14. And this was an ugly game, man, for sure. It always seemed like in the sim, we had plenty of total offense. We just couldn't get it into the end zone. Like Look at this. We had 7 red zone trips, and we only had 1 touchdown. 7 points from 7 trips. That's not going to cut it most of the time, but defense really came through, even though we turned the ball over more often. No turnovers. It's just fundamentally sound defense, and that's what I love to see. You know, we got to win, and that's all that matters. We get to put these seniors out on a high note. Speaking of our upperclassmen, let's go ahead and check out the stats for our guys. As Robbie Cummins, once again, you know, in postseason play, not great. 50% completion percentage, 209 touchdown, and an interception. The running game, though, Casey Jackson was able to get it going once again. 24 for 137 and was able to find the end zone as well. Receivers also got some decent work in. David Hunt was our leading receiver in his final game. David Hunt, you know, 6 for 83 with a touchdown that led all receivers across the board. Blockers also got the job done as well. Cedric Higgins this time leading the way in pancakes. He had 12 pancakes, and then Kent Young had 9 pancakes as well. We're just a pancake house with our offensive line, and then this defense not forcing any turnovers, but they played fundamentally sound defense. When your middle linebackers and defensive linemen are leading you in tackles, that's usually a pretty good sign for us, and that was the case with 8 tackles apiece. Mixon found the backfield, man. Final collegiate game, he came out on a high note. 3 TFLs, 3 sacks as well on top of it. He didn't get the safety though. That was Barrett Burgess, who's only a sophomore. He played pretty well too. 2 TFLs and a sack. Tony Johnson also had a sack as well. We had 5 sacks, which is really good, and big difference in how we were end up able to win this game. That safety really was the difference. So we end up taking home another Quick Lane Bowl championship, and we do end up finishing the season with a 12-2 overall record. So that is really nice to see. Even though we didn't end up with any I don't think we had any like award winners or anything like that like we did back in season 1. We still had some guys that had some really good seasons at the end of the day. Robbie Cummins was one of those guys, 258 for 405, almost 4,000 yards passing, 34 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. And he should be coming back next season too. We'll just have to wait and see on that. Kirk Siger even came in as a backup a little bit, 420 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Not too shabby for the sophomore redshirt, who, you know, could start. He will start next season if Robbie Cummins does decide to declare for the NFL draft. Running attack, Casey Jackson really stepped up for us this season. He had 18 touchdowns on the ground, you know, in his first season of eligibility on the field after we redshirted him last year. And he really showed a lot of talent, a lot of guts. Robbie Cummins also wasn't too bad, 414 yards and 6 touchdowns. On top of that, receivers, we did finally have ourselves a 1,000-yard receiver. Josh Lynch, over 1,000 yards receiving. He was just short last year, but was able to get it done this season. Less touchdowns a little bit, only 10 touchdowns this time around, but, you know, you can't have it all sometimes, and, you know, we still had a lot of production. Marlon Garrett had 8 TDs. Derek Irvin in his last year, he had 8 touchdowns, and then Mac Pierce, a true sophomore for us. He saw the field sparingly in his freshman campaign, but in his sophomore year, really stepped it up, 34 catches and 5 touchdowns. Blocking, you know, was mainly by 3 guys. Doug Alexander, true freshman by the way. We picked him up late. He was phenomenal, 42 pancakes and 3 sacks given up. Cedric Higgins was also really good. He had 40 pancakes and 4 sacks. And then Kent Young, he had 39 pancakes and 2 sacks. We're going to miss him on the offensive line for sure, but thankfully we do have some offensive line help coming on the way. And then defensively, Tony Johnson led the team in tackles. Really stepped it up here in his second season. 71 total tackles, which is slightly ahead of Brian Henry, who had 67. Charles Barnes had 60 tackles in this one. But with time for the lead from TFLs, Charles Barnes and Barrett Burgess had the same amount of TFLs and the same amount of sacks. It was a nice little competition with our defensive linemen, so you love to see that. Charles Barnes is going to graduate, but Barrett Burgess, we still have another couple of years with him, man, so I'm excited to see how he develops from there. Donald White in his freshman year led the team in interceptions. He had 3 interceptions in his first season. Also had a sack, and he also had a forced fumble as well. Didn't find the end zone though, but I'm sure that will come in time. Eric Bray and Randall Brooks also had multiple interceptions on top of it. Meanwhile, for forced fumbles, though, Brian Henry led the team in forced fumbles and had free fumble recoveries on top of it. Eric Bray and Tony Johnson also getting multiple forced fumbles, with a bunch of other guys as well. You know, we got a bunch of heavy hitters, man. It's disgusting how good this defense was at time. And Curtis Allen was our only defensive touchdown of the season. Overall, it was definitely a great season for sure. Meanwhile, checking out our kicker, since we did have a freshman kicker, and it was a rough freshman year a little bit for him. He was only 7 for 12, with his long being 43 yards, but I'm sure he'll eventually go ahead and figure it out. Now, I'm wondering if we had any kick returns or special team touchdowns, and it looks like we didn't again. It's hard to get them in the sim sometimes. It's honestly easier to get a special teams touchdown when you actually play the game than it is to, you know, look into one like in the sim. So last year, Larry Woods was, you know, he broke the record for most passing yards in a season, but we had it broken again. This time, Cummings comes in, first year as a starter. He breaks the school record by over 300 yards. So, and he also breaks the touchdown record. So those passing records did not last very long whatsoever. But, you know, it is what it is, though. Congratulations to our new starting quarterback for able to come up in there and, you know, take care of business. You know, did a very good job, you know, playing as the starting quarterback for us at the end of the day. Meanwhile, checking out the bowl summary for the MAC conference, see how the rest of the conference did. Ohio got rocked in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, and actually, besides us, a little bit of a struggle. Although Bowling Green did win the GoDaddy.com Bowl, but this time around, you know, only 5 bowl eligible teams, and we're 2-3 in those bowl games. So, you know, not a good look, especially since, you know, 0-1 against the Power 5, although Ball State almost beat Oregon. That's really nice to see. Meanwhile, in the Chick-fil-A Bowl, Florida State and Florida actually met, surprisingly. The ACC versus SEC Bowl game, and Florida State came out on top. They win 23-17 against the Florida Gators. Meanwhile, in the Capital One Bowl, Arkansas State beat Toledo. Michigan State wins the Outback Bowl against the Georgia Bulldogs, the 17th ranked team in America, winning 24-14. Rose Bowl game, Ohio State and USC. Ohio State wins that one 31-21. Almost made it into the national championship game, but it didn't happen that way. South Carolina took on Charlotte 49ers. They make their first New Year's Six Bowl, but they lose 28-18. Clemson does beat TCU in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Wisconsin winning the Cotton Bowl against Oklahoma, winning 48-21. And then the Orange Bowl, Raisin Cajuns did a pretty good job, man. They win 28-14 in the Discover Orange Bowl, so that's a really good look to see. And then finally, in the BCS National Championship game, it's between the Texas Longhorns and the Alabama Crimson Tide. And Texas wins it 37-21 here to end season number 2. So since we had such a wonderful season number 2, we actually go ahead and get ourselves another contract extension. This time they extend this out to 5 more seasons, which of course we're going to go ahead and accept that. You know, gotta, you know, do some good work. Now, the question is, you know, is our coordinators going to stay, or are we going to go ahead and end up with some new coordinators like we did, you know, in the offseason going into Season 2? So, we should be getting into the players leaving stage here pretty soon. Also, really curious to see, genuinely, if we can, you know, we end up seeing, you know, either a couple of players maybe try to declare for the NFL draft. No, because we have a 91 overall quarterback. That's only a junior, so I mean that's NFL range, you know, when you get to like that 90s overall range. But first, we'll go ahead and check to see, you know, what's going on with our coaching staff, and it looks like both our offensive and defensive coordinator are actually going to stick around for at least 1 more year. So love to see that. Don't have to, you know, worry about any of that. As for players leaving, though, we don't have anybody, you know, trying to leave. due to transferring or due to the NFL draft, but do have a couple of really good players. Derek Irvin, the most notable, but also had David Hunt, who was actually a captain for us. Curtis Allen graduating, quite a few guys that are leaving, but with the class that we're bringing in, I really feel that we can go ahead and reload and be even better than what we were here in season number 2. So we get to the next stage of the off season, and no surprises here. We did not have we didn't have anyone drafted to the NFL this time around, but we're gonna definitely get there. By the time we get to season 5, at least the off season going into season 5, we are going to have quite a few guys make it to the NFL and put them on a path to be one of those teams that becomes an NFL factory, man. So things now get really interesting simply because we have at least 4 guys that are like above 70 overall, but that being said though, we only have 3 scholarships, so we can't go after all of these guys at the same time, which kind of sucks. But we got a 5-star that's really close to signing with us. We have multiple 4-star guys that could be signing with the program as well. So this is really difficult for me. I am going to focus mostly on Aaron Kelly. He's a gem prospect. He's a 4-star guy. And, I am going to go ahead and put most of my points into him. He'll probably, go ahead and probably get himself, roughly 4,000 points. But the, real question is what I want to do. And I obviously don't want to put points into Zach Graham. He's a 4-star guy. We need to bring him in, absolutely. So it's between Terry Martin and Manny Rogers. Both bring different things to the table. I think what might be a tiebreaker though, Terry Martin, he's a little bit bigger, 6'2", 204. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 3,000 more points into him. And not only that, he also has a higher prestige, 4-star guy that's going to help, our recruiting class look good. And he's also from Texas, and Texas is a pipeline that I am trying to go for. So, unfortunately, Slade Bennett, we're not going to really have room to get after you. Manny Rogers, we're going to have to remove you off the board as well. And then, hopefully, we can get all 3 of these guys to sign. I feel pretty good at least about 2 of them. Aaron Kelly might be a little bit harder. Texas A&M is still trying to get after him. But even if we don't make any more signings, we have a top 5 class as of right now. That's really impressive for a group of 5 program. So our dream scenario actually goes down. All 3 guys that we were trying to get after, we end up signing. So that's a really good cause. And we end up signing a top 5 class, which we were top 5 going into signing day. I wonder if that's enough to move the needle to move a little bit to get us even higher than number 5. And it looks like it is. We actually moved ahead of Florida, who played in a whole BCS bowl game. The handful of 2 and 1 stars that we brought in does hurt us just a little bit, but I mean, all things considered, we had ourselves a really good class this time around. This is one that I envisioned using in order to compete for a national championship later on in this rebuild. So we get ourselves into the most interesting part of the offseason, I would say. It's the position changes, and I know we got ourselves an embarrassing level of just high-level athletes that we can go in, and be the face of our programs potentially. Like, look at Zach Graham. He's best fit at wide receiver, so we're going to put him over there. And look at that, just embarrassing talented right now. And we still have 2 more athletes to work with as well. Looks like all of them might be wide receivers, it seems like. So I'm gonna put them all there. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing. I'm gonna put them all at wide receiver. And look at this wide receiver room. Good God, the freshman class is gonna play a big. Actually, I have quite a bit of I actually have quite a few. We'll move somebody over to what's the halfback room looking like? Yeah, we brought in a ton of I didn't realize that we brought in so many wide receivers this season. Well, and then to be fair, I didn't realize that we had them all, you know, as these, you know, really talented athletes, you know. So we moved a couple of them over to different positions because we have an embarrassing amount of, you know, talent at those positions, you know. But yeah, even then, like, we're looking pretty good, you know what I'm saying? Like, the roster is coming together extremely well, you know. Definitely going to be some red shirts for sure this time around, but, I mean, that was always going to be the case no matter what, but yeah, man, it's looking really good. Let's go ahead and move to the next stage, the training results. Alright, man, so we got ourselves to, you know, the training results, and we have ourselves a few prospects, NFL prospects on both sides of the ball, it seems like. Robbie Cummings, Cedric Higgins, Jimmy Rogers, all seem like dudes that can go ahead and, you know, be NFL guys potentially when it's all said and done. Even Eric Bray, you know, if he improves a little bit, he could be an NFL guy. Max Pierce, he has the potential to definitely go to the NFL as well. And, you know, topping a room that is just stupid good right now. At least like compared to like the MAC conference, you know, like we have like 2 wide receivers that are like close to 90 overall, but the freshman class that we just brought in, ooh, it's gonna be so good, man. I can't wait to see what this team has in store in season number 3. I definitely want to go ahead and push for a national championship game, but big question is our defense. You know, can our defense keep up with our offense potentially? Because, you know, defensively we're not as good as the offensive side of the ball, so I mean, we'll see what we can do for sure. We'll see what happens. So unfortunately for us, because we brought in so much really good talent this season, we actually have too many players once again, so we have to make some cuts. What I always like to do, I always like to cut from the back end. You know, just go ahead and cut our worst players that we have on the roster, and it's a shame that we have to do it. We even cut some people that, you know, we signed in previous classes, you know, but that's just kind of what happens when, you know, we have as much talent as we do on this roster, man. As we actually can't cut a handful of players. So this wide receiver, you know, CJ Davis, he's gonna have to go, and then we're gonna have to pick between one of these. We'll probably cut another wide receiver as well, since we just have an embarrassing amount of wide receiver help, it seems like. Gonna go ahead and keep the 4-star guy. I hate doing that. It's tough out here, man. It really is, but it just shows that our team is just continuing to get better, because you saw right there in that cut, we even cut some guys that, you know, weren't true freshmen. You know, most of the time, like doing something like that, the younger guys usually get the cut, but this time around, not so much. Alright, man, so we're here in season number 3, trying to get things rocking and rolling. We got a doozy for a little bit of our conference schedule. You want to talk about starting off on a high note? We take on one of the nation's best from the get-go, man. Number 3, Ohio State on the road. That's going to be a heck of a test for us. But then after that, we play against Wyoming, FCS East, and Cincinnati. All of those, you know, which are winnable games. If we can go 3-1 in non-conference play, that would be fantastic. We do start with a little bit different of a conference schedule this time around. We play against Miami University. We play against Ohio, followed by Central Michigan, Ball State, a random bye week. Then finishing out with Buffalo, Eastern Michigan, Toledo, and then Western Michigan as well. Should be a really interesting schedule here that we have going on here in season number 3. As for our red shirts, we did go ahead and redshirt quite a few guys this time around. For example, we're redshirting both Lance Robertson and Eric Robertson. They're not related, but they happen to have the same last name. Both of them talented quarterbacks that could be the future of this program one day, but for right now, they're going to be buried on the depth chart, and I wouldn't be shocked if one of them transferred going forward. We're also going to redshirt Aaron Kelly, who could very well be a starter as soon as next season, depending on how progressions go. But that being said, for now, Jason Hurd is getting the start, and, you know, we'll see what he can do in the future. Love what he can bring to the table. At wide receiver, I'm redshirting Travis Porter, but don't get it twisted. We have a lot of freshmen and sophomore wide receivers that can make an immediate impact for our squad, man. I'm excited to see what the weapons on this team can do. And I believe for our final red shirt, we're going to go ahead and redshirt Kevin Vincent, simply because he's a third string guy on our depth chart as of right now, and you know, we don't really need him at the moment, so we're just going to let him be for the time being. We might move him over to strong safety after this season, but again, you know, we just have to wait and see what happens with our recruiting class going forward. Speaking of our recruiting class, you know, these are some of the key guys that I'm kind of looking into here going into season number 3. One such guy, Maurice Williams, he's a 3-star tight end from, you know, Illinois. Also looking at guys like Josh Thomas, that's a 4-star prospect. Manny Perkins. And it's just really cool to see in general, you know, seeing more 4-stars and even, you know, a couple of 5-stars that are starting to become interested in us. But I'm not going after 5-stars, at least not yet, because it's still kind of a long shot for us, the 5-stars that, you know, are interested in us. But it's a good look though, and I love to see it. Speaking of things that I absolutely love to see, look at how much our offense jumps to. We're up to a 95 offense and an 83 defense in year number 3. And, you know, it's a lot better than what many of these other teams can, you know, put out there on the field. You know, our offense could be one of the most explosive in the entire nation. And for us, you know, it's more than just conference or bust, right? You know, we've won 2 conference championships in a row at this point, but that being said, though, we gotta shoot for a BCS bowl game. I want to go to a major bowl game. I don't want to be stuck at like the, you know, Quicken Loans Bowl or something like that. But we'll have a good test here. Like I said, Ohio State, they're number 3 in the nation, at least in the preseason polls. They have a 93 overall squad, so that's gonna be a really interesting one on the road for sure. As we're not even ranked in the top 25, but you know, we're ranked number 31 in the nation, so if we do somehow find a way to beat Ohio State, we can get into the top 25 very early, and not to mention, go ahead and get ourselves, you know, on the right path to go to, you know, a big bowl game. Alright, so with that being said, let's go ahead and sim our toughest week of the season. Ohio State, who's now number 2, and we do end up losing that game, but that being said, we did play against a pretty tough Ohio State squad, only losing by 12 points on the road, nothing to be ashamed of. Now let's see if we can go ahead and get on a roll here and win the rest of our games here in season number 3. Let's get it. Alright, man, so we may have ended up losing our first game to Ohio State, but there really is no shame in that, though. We only lost by 12, and they're still the number 2 ranked team in the entire country, so, I mean, you know, we really showed that we're a top 25 caliber team. We took care of business the rest of the way, though. Northern Illinois winning 41-17, beat FCS East easily, and going on the road to play against the Bearcats, which can be a scrappy team sometimes. We beat them 45-31 in this dynasty. Definitely love to see it, man. I love the way that this team is going so far. I am really curious to see where we stack in the top 25. I know we're not up in there just yet. Texas A&M, Ohio State, Florida State, and Georgia Tech have at least one first place vote. But we are at least receiving votes for the time being between us and I believe that Charlotte, that's getting some top 25 consideration as well. So shout out to the Charlotte 49ers. Yeah, we're in a pretty good spot, man, and we get conference play moving forward as well. As for our recruiting board is actually looking pretty darn good right now. You know, we are leading on almost all of the guys that we're trying to go after right now, and many of them are actually pretty close to signing with us here in the near future. It's only a matter of weeks, which would be really nice. We can go ahead and free some points up so that we can go ahead and go after some other guys that, you know, we really want to go after. You know, board is looking really good. We can have ourselves a really good class. Matter of fact, we already have a couple of 3-stars already committed. Michael Hall and Corey Edwards have committed to the squad, and they can both be some really good depth pieces moving forward. Alright, so as we progress, start of MAC play has been doing pretty well for us here. We've been taking care of business with ease, winning 31-7 against Miami, 45-13 against Ohio, beating Central Michigan big, beating Ball State big as well. And, you know, taking out the rest of these games, we have Buffalo, Eastern Michigan, Toledo, and Western Michigan. We shouldn't have too much of a challenge being able to go ahead and dispatch those teams whatsoever. And we're finally getting our damn respect as well. We're in the top 25 once again. Although Raging Cajuns, man, they kind of been a thorn on our side, man. Raging Cajuns, they're number 4 in the nation right now. They're 6-0 with a 3-0 conference record. And they have them ranked number 4 in the nation, even though they haven't played anybody, which, okay, that's fine. You know, you do you, boo-boo. But yeah, well, let's see if there's any other teams in the top 25 that's from that group of 5. And it looks like we're the second best team, you know, from that group of 5 division. And we just got up in there 7-1. And we might, you know, be forced to go to another crappy bowl game here in season number 3. Even though we're putting together one heck of a squad, man. Like, this team is going to be scary, you know, for the foreseeable future as well. I definitely love to see that. But we're finally in the top 25 at the very least. We're in at number 24 in the nation. As for our recruiting, though, we only have 8 scholarships remaining. And, you know, we already, so that makes it really easy to do recruiting, because we're at a point where we can just go ahead and max out on everyone else. The only person that we might struggle to get is Charles Banks, but, you know, other than that, you know, we're looking really good across the board. Tyler Johnson, we might struggle a little bit there as well. But, you know, this recruiting class, man, you know, is really coming together pretty quickly. And if we do end up losing anybody, we can always try to lock cheese. We also have the number 6 ranked recruiting class in the country as of right now. 17 total prospects. We can definitely beef up on more 4-star guys here going forward. You know, we're in with the likes of Wisconsin, Oklahoma, TCU, Notre Dame, and Oregon. You know, just doing a phenomenal job as of so far here, man. It's looking fantastic. The loss against Ohio State does sting a little bit, but I mean, overall, we're looking really good across the board. So the last 4 games that we ended up playing, you know, it just turned out into a bunch of tune-up games for us here, man. Look at what we end up doing in these final 4 games. We beat Buffalo big. We beat, well, Eastern Michigan actually put up a fight. We only won by 2 touchdowns there, but I mean, we still ended up winning the game, so it is what it is. Destroy Toledo 52-7, and then do the same to Western Michigan. And we get ourselves a nice little bye week, getting ready to go into postseason play. We're 11-1, and check this out. Our only loss is to Ohio State, who is the number 1 team in the nation, man. And we only lost them by 12 on the road. But the disrespect in these polls, man, I swear to God, man, we're only 15th in the nation because of it. Like, look at some of these teams that are ahead of us. Lafayette, by the way, has a chance to go to national championship. That's crazy. Let's see what we got. Virginia Tech, they're a 2-loss team. South Carolina's 9-3 for Pete's sake, and they're ahead of us here. You know, Michigan State, Florida, Texas, all with 3 or more losses. They're all ahead of us, even though, like, our only loss again is to the number 1 team in the nation. Like, for the most part, we did exactly what we should be doing. And you know, watch, even if we were 12-0, we would still be, you know, relying on either Ohio State or the Raging Cajuns to lose. So, I mean, it's a tough situation to be in for sure, but, I mean, we're just going to have to take it out on our conference championship opponent and whatever bowl game that we do get to go to this season. So, obviously, out here on the West Division, we did, you know, clinch our division pretty easily, actually. We just had some great stats across the board. Who do we play in the East Division? Oh, looks like it's Bowling Green. They're 9-3, only an 86 offense, a 75 defense. The only thing left to do now is get to this conference championship game and see a potential slaughter, man. It's gonna be a fun one. If you're enjoying this Dynasty Wars rebuild, by the way, of Northern Illinois, do ask you guys, smash that like button for me, as well as hit subscribe if you have to be brand new. But yeah, let's go get to this conference championship game between us and Bowling Green. Let's get it, baby! Alright, Bowling Green actually won the coin toss, and they're actually going to go ahead and kick it off to us, which that is a bold move, by the way, because we have one of the best offenses in the country. And right from the get-go, man, get a touchdown on the board, but Bowling Green responds, and we actually get dropped back deep in our own territory. We still managed to get a field goal out of it, and we're only up 10-7, man. So Bowling Green, you know, putting up a little bit of a fight here in this first quarter, but let's see if we can go ahead and try to make this a multi-possession game here, you know, in the second quarter. But, you know, that being said, again, you know, Bowling Green definitely putting up a good fight. They put together a really good game plan on the defensive side of the ball, and we're only up 10-7 right now. We do get the ball to start the second half, though, so let's see if we can go ahead and set a tone here. And we do, baby. We get another score on the board. That makes it 17-7. Now we're starting to take over here. 2 scores in a row. Bowling Green trying to respond. They do get a touchdown on the board, but we're starting to pull away a little bit here, man. We're now up 24-14. Thought we could make it 31-14, but that just didn't happen, you know. And the Falcons, they're trying to claw back into this thing, man, but we are going to pull away, even though it wasn't necessarily our best game. We still are going to go ahead and come out on top, be conference champions for the 3rd straight season in a row, baby. And, you know, it was pretty good balanced effort, man. 231 yards on the ground, 219 yards through the air. Each of us had just 1 turnover. So it was a pretty clean game overall, but I mean, we were just a better team on paper, and it showed today. Go ahead and check out the stats for our guys while we end up our out here. Robbie Cummings, man, he you know, did a pretty nice job. 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. And I need to get some new batteries on this Xbox controller right here. Jason Hurd doing some work on the ground, though. 169 in a tub off of 35 carries. Receiving, Zach Graham, he our true freshman wide receiver, by the way, he's up to an 83 overall. That's insane. 4 catches, 85 yards, and a tub. Josh Lentz also found the end zone as well. Couple of catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown. Good effort for our receivers. Marcus Smith and Doug Alexander both had multiple pancakes. Double-digit pancakes, matter of fact. You'll love to see that. And then on defense, you know, we only allowed 14 points. I love to see it, considering defense is usually not our strong suit, but, you know, it carried a day when we had a below average performance, I would say. Mike Lewis and Barrett Burgess, you know, with 3 total sacks, and Derek Jenkins got an interception for us, our only turnover force on the day. He also had 7 total tackles in this one, man. So let's go ahead now. Let's go ahead and see what bowl game we're going to actually end up going to. So the good news in this one is that in the Quick Lane Bowl, Northern Illinois actually went up 1 spot. We're up to number 14 in the nation, taking on the Florida Atlantic Owls from the Conference USA. But that being said, though, we are going to the same bowl game for the 3rd season in a row. We're going to the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit, Michigan. You hate to see it, but you know how it is, man. We just gotta take out that frustration on the Owls. It is what it is, man. I don't like it. You guys probably not like it. FAU coming in as a big underdog. Let's go ahead and tear these guys to shreds, bro. Alright, man, so we're here at the Quick Lane Bowl for the 3rd season in a row. Now, the big question is, can we win 3 seasons in a row? Now, that would be, you know, something to say. Get the 3-peat in the Quick Lane Bowl champions, and we're off to a really good start here. We're already going to be up 21-0, and we're only done with 1 quarter so far. So if we can keep it up, man, this could be a really ugly game for sure, man. Let's see what we can do. If we can go ahead and keep this up. Florida Atlantic, though, they finally get their first touchdown on the board, and dare I say it, trying to make a little bit of a comeback as they get a little field goal on the board. So they're only down by 21-10. We didn't score any points in the first half, but we still got a really nice lead to work with, and we still also have a chance, you know, to win this bowl game, which is what we went out to do. Now, we're struggling a little bit on offense. Florida Atlantic actually got this to a 1-possession game. We've done literally nothing since the first quarter, so hopefully it's not because our starting quarterback is hurt or anything. Maybe we're just sucking. And Florida Atlantic actually ties this game. Are we actually going to blow it right now? Come on, guys, let's step up. Okay, we got the touchdown. Can we get the stop? No. Yes. Okay. Whew. I thought we were going to blow a 21-0 lead in our final game of the season, but we didn't. So that's cool. I really like to see that. But check out the scoring summary. We scored 21 points in the first quarter to start things off, but after that, FAU, 21 points unanswered before we get a last second score. We got bailed out, it seems like. And, you know, it was a tough one, man. Robbie Cummings was really good. Mind you, most of those touchdowns were in the first quarter. 290 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. Running game was pretty solid as well. Jason Hurd led the way, 114 yards off of 31 carries. Receivers, had 2 really good receivers. Mac Pierce, 9 for 75 and a touchdown. Jason Hurd from the backfield, 673 and a touchdown. Josh Lentz had a touchdown off of 4 and 52. And then Kevin Tyree, the senior redshirt, a touchdown off of just 2 catches that went for 60 yards. For our blocking, Doug Alexander put in that work again with 12 pancakes but did allow a sack. Cedric Higgins in his final collegiate game. Hopefully he gets a chance to go to the NFL. He had 10 pancakes in this one. And then Andrew Haynes, he had 9 total tackles. That led the way for everybody. And then we also had 3 sacks as well, not only from Andrew Haynes, but also Jared Crawford and Barrett Burgess. Andrew Haynes, by the way, is a true freshman, and he stepped up in a huge way today. I don't think we got any. Actually, we had 1 interception. That was Josh Douglas. I was able to return it. No fumbles or anything like that, but we got the win, so we're going to finish the season 13-1. So it does seem like we do at least set a couple of school records. Cummings with a passing yards record once again, a record that he set last season. Same thing with the passing TDs records, and also in a career, he passes Chandler Harness pretty easily actually. 84 total touchdowns over his career. That beats the previous 68 TVs. And we also have Matt Pierce, who breaks the single season record for most receiving yards in a year, close to 1,500 yards. That eclipses Dave Petsy, which was a record set in 1978. Also, the most receiving touchdowns in a year, 16 TDs, being a record of 14 set all the way back in 1963. Lynch had the most in a career, though, 32 total touchdowns. That beats Justin McLaren's 29. Man, a bunch of records being set, man. You absolutely love to see it. And we even finished in the top 10, man. So, the only thing left to do now, let's get into the offseason, man. Get ready to try to make another run at a BCS bowl game. Let's go, man. So, no surprises here, just because we had such a phenomenal season. You know, going 13-1 once again. You know, we got ourselves a couple of new coordinators. You know, we got Corey Harvard, who's now going to be our new defensive coordinator, and Scott Cummings, who's going to be our new offensive coordinator that we get to go ahead and work with. So Bowser and Watson, both of whom are going to move on to greener pastures, as they say. But I mean, the big question is, you know, where did these coaches end up? Did they get head coaching positions, or did they end up getting, you know, maybe even a little bit higher of a one of those higher up, can't think of the word, man, I'm just having a heck of a brain freeze right now, man. But Mike Watson, he was one of our coordinators. He's actually now the new head coach at Bowling Green. So huge shout out for him for, you know, being able to land at a head coaching position. Now, as for our other guy, you know, let's go ahead and see. Yeah, Ken Bowser, he's the new head coach at Purdue University. So, you know, good looks on that. You'll love to see it. As for players leaving, though, and we actually have 2 people trying to go to the draft. Eric Bray, who's projected to finish in the 7th round of the pro draft, and then Max Pierce, who just had himself a really great season, by the way. Almost 1,500 yards receiving total, 88 catches. He's trying to declare, but he's only a projected 6th round pick. And realistically, if you're going to be a day free guy, you know, coaches are going to try to see, you know, if they will stay for another year. And he said he's going to come back next season, man. So we convince him to stay. But we should still have one, pro pick. So that'll be good to see. Question is, will we get any transfers? That's something I'm curious to see. Alright, man, so we did confirm that we do have a 7th round pick in this draft, but We also confirmed that there wasn't any transfer requests as well, so it does seem like we are going to go into the recruiting phase of this offseason with a grand total of 1 scholarship. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with that 1 scholarship here when we make it to the next week. Okay, so it turns out that we actually have 2 scholarships to work with, and that's awesome because we have 2 guys right here, both of which are 4-star players that I'm looking at right now, that have the ability, you know, to come in and contribute right away, man. One's a little bit bigger, a more prototypical size, 6'2", 220, but 5'11", 212, you know, a little bit underlooked per se, but it's only between us and Eastern Carolina. But that being said, I'm really excited, you know, to go ahead and, you know, go after both of these guys. And even if we don't get either of them, we're still putting together a really great recruiting class. Northern Illinois has the 8th ranked recruiting class right now going into signing day. Like, we're right next to Ohio State, which ended up winning the national championship. And again, that's literally the only team that we lost to, and we only lost to them by 12 points. So man, we can be national championship contenders too, man. I can really feel it in my blood, and we are by far the best group of 5 program when it comes to recruiting as well. Y'all love to see it. But yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and get these points spread out evenly between these 2 guys right here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and sim to signing day, so I'll catch you guys over there. Alright, man, so throwing a bunch of points at both of these guys did turn out to work extremely well, and no surprises here, man. We signed the top class in the MAC conference, and we also get ourselves a top 10 class here in the process as well. So you absolutely love to see it. That actually, we came in ranked, I think it was either number 8 or number 9 in the nation when it comes to recruiting. Did we move up? Okay, so we stayed at number 8. But still really good class that we put together. 6 4-stars and 14 3-stars. As well as a couple of developmental pieces, couple of JUCO guys, you know, to help with the depth as well. And I'm thinking we could be a 90+ overall squad, depending on what happens with training results and all that good stuff. Alright, man, so we are now back and again here with the position changes, and man, we are going to be scary good this season, man. We have a 78 overall athlete, and I'm hoping that we can put him somewhere, but it looks like quarterback is his best spot, so we'll just go ahead and put him there for now. That being said, though, that leaves us with quite a few quarterbacks, so I think I'm actually might trim it down here quite a bit. Probably get rid of at least like a few of these guys right here. Ed Taylor is probably gonna go, but man, we are looking stacked, you know, looking pretty good across the board, and this is even without like the training results yet, you know. So you know, things are definitely, you know, looking extremely promising going forward. We didn't really bring in very many high quality offensive linemen this time around, although we did bring in Derek Richardson, who will go ahead and back up Doug Alexander, one of our better dudes right there. You love to see it. We did bring in quite a few linebackers, though. You know, we only have 2 two right side outside linebackers. So what I am gonna go ahead and do is go ahead and move somebody to that left outside linebacker position. Probably going to go ahead and move Dominique Wright and transition him over to the right outside linebacker side, although he could be even better. Oh, actually, now that I think about it, let's move Dominique Wright to middle linebacker, and he'll start there right away, and then Michael Hall will move him to right outside linebacker. I think that's what I'm going to do. We're looking a little bit light on the defensive side of the ball, I'm not going to lie. Not as much depth as I anticipate on that side of the football, but at least on the offensive side of the ball, we're going to be downright dangerous, man. I love to see that. Alright, so we do get to training results, and surprisingly, you know, Mac Pierce doesn't jump up as much as we want him to, but he's still going to be a 93. We do have a new starting quarterback here for next season, Kirk Ziegler. He's going to be a 91 overall guy. He's listed as a pocket passer, but he has 70 speed, so that could be pretty decent for us to work with going forward. You know, as we're looking around the rest of the roster to see what else is up. Zach Graham, he's only a sophomore, but he's going to be up to 87. Rest of the wide receiver core looks a little bit unproven though, and so we'll definitely have some work to go there. But across the board, man, team's looking pretty solid. Defensive side of the ball, it's coming together. It's definitely coming. Our defensive line is looking pretty solid. Linebackers does seem like it's going to be a little bit of a question mark for us here potentially. But knowing our squad, man, we'll find a way to get it together. Goal for this season, again, trying to make ourselves to a BCS bowl game. And some things are simply out of our control, like how other teams do, but we can handle what we can control. And if we can have an undefeated season, shoot, we can that should give us an opportunity to achieve just that. As we'll go ahead now into cuts here for season number 4, and we got quite a bit of people. First person I want to cut, Ed Taylor. We're just not gonna need him at this point, and I want to cut at least one more. Lance, I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut Lance Robertson as well. That way we'll still have, like, it doesn't become a need for us here all of a sudden. Other than that, though, I'm just gonna go ahead and shave from the bottom, man. Got some of these 60 plus over 60 something overalls. That's just not gonna cut it here on our team anymore, man. We have a standard, and if you can't meet the standard, you can't be on the squad, man. I don't know what else to tell you, my guy. It's nothing personal, it's just strictly business. But yeah, man, let's go ahead and see what our schedule is like going into season 4. Alright, man, so this is what our schedule is looking like and the EA gods are on our side, man. We got Wyoming on the road, NC State at home, New Mexico at home, FIU at home as well. That's a neutral site game. We're going to have that joint at Soldier Field. So I'm excited about that one. A neutral site game. I love to see that. We have our typical conference schedule, man. And listen, we got one job and one job only. Go undefeated in the regular season, as we're ranked number 24 in the nation. Also going to go ahead and redshirt a few guys, one of which is Andy Lynch, who, 78 speed guy, pocket passer, was a former athlete, man. He can start 2 seasons from now, but that being said, we're not going to really need him, at least today. Same thing with Josh Thomas. We're going to go ahead and redshirt him as well in this one. Over our left outside linebacker, Chris Banks and Mike Williams are going to be guys that are also going to go ahead and redshirt for us here. On top of that, we're looking pretty good out here in these streets, and I think that's the only red shirts that we have. But let me tell you about some of the guys I'm initially going to go after. We are really attracting some very strong attention, that's for sure, man. Doug Johnson is not one of them. I don't know why he's ranked at the top, but Nate Robertson, he was a 5-star guy from Addison, Illinois. He's really interested in us. We're second on his board right now, and we have a very good chance of bringing him in. Same thing with Brandon Rowe, Mario White, Terry Jefferson, Scott Johnson, although we might actually remove him from the board. Mike Bailey, Brandon Powers, Brent Walker. We got ourselves a list of very high quality guys, and we are still playing the add-ons to this recruiting board. I'll have to give you guys a little bit of an update once we get through non-conference play, and I'll let you guys know how we're doing to start off season number 4. Alright, man, so this is what our schedule is looking like and the EA gods are on our side, man. We got Wyoming on the road, NC State at home, New Mexico at home, FIU at home as well. That's a neutral site game. We're going to have that joint at Soldier Field. So I'm excited about that one. A neutral site game. I love to see that. We have our typical conference schedule, man. And listen, we got one job and one job only. Go undefeated in the regular season, as we're ranked number 24 in the nation. Also going to go ahead and redshirt a few guys, one of which is Andy Lynch, who, 78 speed guy, pocket passer, was a former athlete, man. He can start 2 seasons from now, but that being said, we're not going to really need him, at least today. Same thing with Josh Thomas. We're going to go ahead and redshirt him as well in this one. Over our left outside linebacker, Chris Banks and Mike Williams are going to be guys that are also going to go ahead and redshirt for us here. On top of that, You know, we're looking pretty good out here in these streets, and I think that's the only red shirts that we have. But let me tell you about some of the guys I'm initially going to go after. You know, we are really attracting some very strong attention, that's for sure, man. Doug Johnson is not one of them. I don't know why he's ranked at the top, but Nate Robertson, he was a 5-star guy from Addison, Illinois. He's really interested in us. We're second on his board right now, and we have a very good chance of bringing him in. Same thing with Brandon Rowe, Mario White, you know, Terry Jefferson, Scott Johnson, although we might actually remove him from the board. Mike Bailey, Brandon Powers, Brent Walker. You know, we got ourselves a list of very high quality guys, and we are still playing the add-ons to this recruiting board. I'll have to give you guys a little bit of an update once we get through non-conference play, and I'll let you guys know how we're doing to start off season number 4. Oh, so one thing I almost mentioned, I forgot to show you guys what we're sitting at for overall, and it actually looks like we took a little bit of a step back. I'm not gonna lie, man. It's a little bit disappointing. We're still with 91 overall offense, 82 defense, but hopefully that's not some foreshadowing, and we can still get on the path to an undefeated non-conference record before we get into MAC conference play. Alright guys, so we made it through non-conference play, and things are actually going really well for us, all things being considered. Not the most impressive performances though. We do beat Wyoming. We did beat North Carolina State, which is actually ranked in the top 25 right now, so that really helps us out. Beat FIU, we narrowly escaped from them, and then beat New Mexico. Again, we haven't done great thus far this season, but we're still 4-0, and we're finally getting some respect. Even though this probably isn't the best team that we've fielded so far this season, but we're doing just fine, man. You know, we're doing, you know, pretty okay, all things being considered. We are also ranked number 11 in the nation right now. There's 5 teams ahead of us that do have first place votes: Florida, South Carolina, Ohio State, Nebraska, and Oregon. But at the same time, though, we do have the highest ranked group of 5 you know, team in the entire country, and it's not even that close, to be honest with you. There's no other teams I don't see in the top 25. Well, okay, Arkansas State has jumped to the top 25. They are from the Sun Belt, but other than that though, you know, things been going pretty well for us, man. So, you know, if we can keep it up, we can keep the train rolling. And not only are we going ahead and getting things done on the football field, we're also doing a pretty solid job of recruiting as well. Once again, we're getting commits from guys like Brandon Rowe, who's a 4-star athlete. We welcome him to the squad. Brent Walker, who's a solid 3-star guy. Quentin Harris, who will be a nice JUCO athlete for us to work with. Sean Collins, Chris Wood, and James DeAngelis. You know, some good commits, man. And the thing is, we are not close to being done yet necessarily. Still going after Nate Robinson, 5-star wide receiver, and we're looking pretty good, man. Overall, we are, you know, distancing ourselves from Ball State and Iowa. We should be able to get him by the end of the season. Mario White, we're pretty close on signing him as well. Patrick Bishop looks really good, and then Terry Jefferson, we just pulled ahead of Duke, and we're not looking to, you know, look back anytime soon, man. So the recruiting's going really good. Let's see if we can continue that in conference play, and let's see if we can get ourselves to like 8-0 at the halfway mark of MAC conference play. I'll see you guys when we get to that point. Alright, man, so shortly after we started simulating, we actually got ourselves our first loss of the season, man. We get upset by the Miami Redhawks, man. You hate to see it. We did get ourselves back on track though, winning big against Central Michigan, Ball State, and Kent State. Now, I'm not exactly sure if Miami of Ohio is on our side of the division or not. Thankfully it's not, so we don't have to worry about that. We still, you know, have plenty of chances to get into the conference championship game. But that being said, Warhawks have a inside track actually for the Eastern Division, with Bowling Green not too far behind them. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that finishes out. But man, that is really unfortunate though that we actually took our first loss of the season. Now the thing about us though is that we are still in the top 25. We never fell out at any point. we're actually now sitting at number 14 in the nation, which is not terrible considering we did lose to an unranked squad, but we're no longer the best ranked group of 5 squad. That is for the Arkansas State Red Wolves, who are in the top 5 currently. They actually have one first place finish. They're in with Arizona, Ohio State, South Carolina, and Florida, you know, to round out that top 5, man. But we're the only team in the MAC conference that, you know, does have a, you know, a team in the top 25. UL Lafayette's also in there. They traditionally have finished ahead of us in the top 25 polls, but they're behind us currently, sitting at number 23. At least on the recruiting end, we are doing a really good job with recruiting, and that's nice to see simply because this is the last year that I'm going to show recruiting. This is a 5-year challenge. We're in year number 4, so whatever happens in year number 5 on recruiting, it won't matter. We do have the 12th overall ranked class in college football, you know, second best group of 5 squad. Boise State surprisingly putting together a really good class as well, which is really cool to see, to be honest with you guys. Check out the scholarship situation. We have 12 scholarships remaining. Most of them, we got them tied down to a bunch of really good guys like Roy Rogers. We're going after Benny Bell, Philip Mariana, who's a 3rd overall ranked athlete. No one was going after him. 5-star guy. Can you imagine that? Nate Robinson, we're still going after him. And, you know, it really shows that, you know, we have most of our scholarships, who we want to bring it down here. We know who we want to go after. At this point, probably won't make too many changes to the recruiting board for the rest of the season, but you never know. Upsets do end up happening. But, you know, that being said, let's get towards the end of the regular season, see if we can at least finish the regular season 11-1. Alright, man, so we go ahead and close out the season on a high note, at least the regular season. We beat Buffalo big. Eastern Michigan almost upset us, but we still find a way to win the football game. Same thing winning against Toledo, and same thing against Western Michigan. So we finished the season 11-1. And you guys saw by our ranking, man, we are ranked number 4 in the entire country. So that being said, man, like we have a very legitimate shot of going to the national championship as well if we take care of business and win our conference championship. Arizona is the only team that's undefeated and is ranked number 1. So if Arizona wins, they're in. But it's going to come down to either us, Nebraska, or us. We'll have to go ahead and see if Oregon or Nebraska are in conference championship games. We'll actually go ahead and check that out real quick, you know. See what's going on in these other conferences. First, starting with us, though. We win our conference or at least our division, pretty easily. Gonna make our 4th appearance in the MAC Conference Championship game. And it looks like we're playing against Bowling Green once again. We played these guys in the past, but they have not been able to beat us yet. They had a pretty nice season, 8-4, losing to Ohio State, losing to Clemson, but did beat Miami of Ohio, who's ranked number 25 recently. So this is a pretty decent team that we're looking at right here, man. But let's see what's going on with some of these other conferences, though. So first, let's go ahead and see what's going on in the Big Ten East. Big Ten East, Ohio State, no surprises there, going to the championship game. So Nebraska will be playing against Ohio State, and guess we're going to have to root for Ohio State if we want to go ahead and pass Nebraska. As for the Pac-12, Oregon is going to be in that conference championship game as well, and playing against Arizona. So number 1 and number 2 playing up against each other. That's a de facto semi-final game. That's kind of insane. So, you know, if we take care of business and Nebraska loses their championship game, we could be in the national championship. But we'll just have to wait and see. First, we gotta go ahead and take care of business in our conference championship. Speaking of that conference championship game, we got the Bowling Green Falcons up ahead of us here, man. So we gotta make sure we take care of business. Let's go about and get it done, man. Let's get it. Alright, man, so we're out here on the field here of the MAC Conference Championship game, and we really have one job here. Just try to go ahead and take care of business. If we can win this game and get a little bit of help, we could potentially go to the national championship game. Although right now, Bowling Green's got themselves a drive. They're actually trying to go ahead and take the lead, which they will do just that. So they are up 7-3 here. And we're actually struggling a little bit on the offensive side of the ball here. Only got a field goal thus far, but we do get ourselves ahead here a little bit, man. And we take a 10-7 lead into the locker room. So gotta play a little bit better here in the second half. Let's see if we can pull away here a little bit here in this third quarter. We do get a field goal to start things out that extends our lead a little bit to 6 points, but drive after that we get another touchdown. It's 20-7 now. We could very well make it 27-7 given what could happen on this next play, and we do get into the end zone there again. 27-7, about to be 34-7. It's looking pretty good for us here, man. We have put ourselves for an opportunity go to the national championship game. We win this one by a final score of 34-7. So great win for us here, man. Once again, go ahead and check out the player stats for your boys. Kirk Zeiger, got the start, 326 yards, a touchdown, and no picks as our starting quarterbacks. John Ross, though, got a stupid amount of carries, though. 45 for 151 and 3 touchdowns. He was a workhorse for us here today, man. And then receivers, Max Pierce, who was a guy that we told to stay. He was a projected 6th round guy. Huge day once again, 7 for 146. John Ross out of the backfield, caught a touchdown, 2 catches for 19 yards. For the blocking, Chris Cooper actually ended up with 10 pancakes in this one. It was a pancake house for our offensive line, which I absolutely love to see. And then for the defensive side of the ball, Barrett Burgess had 8 total tackles. Gerald Crawford also had 8 total tackles as well. So, defense was playing good, especially when you only allow 7 points. And that's a huge reason why we were able to get this dub, man. And now, we'll see if we have what it takes to make it into that top 2. Come on, BCS gods, give us some hope. So we get ourselves the conference championship game once again. That's our 4th MAC title, and this will rebuild. But the big question is, can we make it to the national championship game? I mean, there's only one way to find out. Let's see if we can go ahead and get the job done here. And it's really contingent on 2 games, the Oregon-Arizona game and Nebraska-Ohio State game. So we'll see what happens in this de facto semifinal game between Oregon and Arizona. And we actually had ourselves a shootout. Oregon actually wins big, winning by a final score of 50-49. They end up winning this thing in the 4th quarter, a game-winning score with 2:24 left. So Oregon looks like we'll be going to the national championship. We'll see if Nebraska go ahead and punch this ticket too, or will Ohio State play spoiler? And Ohio State does play spoiler. They beat Nebraska 24-10. So number 2 and number 3 goes down, which means we should slide up to number 2. But let's see exactly what happens. Alright, so we actually stay at number 4, unfortunately. So no national championship for us, but we do get to play against Arizona in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl at the very least. It hurts a little bit, man. I'm not gonna lie, it definitely does hurt just a tad. And let's see what ended up happening, man. What went down? In the coaches poll, we actually did jump up to number 2, but the damn BCS system said otherwise. South Carolina jumps over us, and Ohio State jumps over us as well. You hate to see it, man. We got robbed, dude. We got absolutely robbed. We should be in this national championship game. The coaches know what they're talking about more than a damn computer. It is what it is, though. It sucks that we don't have, the college football playoff, because the person I'm going up against didn't use it. So trying to keep it fair, but it is what it is. Guess the only thing left to do is take our anger out on Arizona, which has a really good squad. 95 offense, 90 defense, and 91 overall squad. We might actually not win this game, but we'll see what we can do, man. See if we can win this New Year's Six Bowl. Let's get it, guys. We accidentally hit the onside kick button instead of the sim button. So I guess we're gonna have to go through with it. It's not letting me call timeout for whatever reason. We almost get it though, but we not a good way to start things off. Going bold though, you know, but that probably will kill us here at the end of the day. Let's go ahead and actually go into the sim though. Hopefully that's not going to go ahead and kill us here, but Arizona's going to score a touchdown, and that's kind of what I expected. And we're getting a very big methodical drive going, and that turns into 6 points, but we missed the extra point, so we're down 7-6. Arizona does tack on a few extra points on the board. We're down 10-6. So, you know, despite the onside kick, we're still very much in this game. Got to be able to put together another great drive, though. Defense going to certainly be put to the test, but we had one of the best defenses in the entire country, though. As we drive downfield, we get ourselves another touchdown, and we get another touchdown after that off a turnover, baby. And we're piling on the points here. We get to halftime. We're up 23-10 here in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, man. So we're looking good so far, you know, all things being considered. Just gotta go ahead and try and finish strong here in this second half. We're still up 23-10 here midway through the third quarter. We don't tack on any points. Feels like a missed opportunity, and Arizona pounces on it. They cut it down to a one-score game. So it's 23-17 going into the final quarter. You know, let's see if we can finish them off. A touchdown and a 2-point conversion too. Another touchdown here again. Let's go, baby. Up 38-24. We got a 2-score lead. Things are looking good, but Arizona gonna fight back. It's now 38-31. Arizona with a chance to tie, and they do it. They tied the game, but we get a game-winning field goal. We almost blew a 3-possession lead. I swear to God, man. But we win the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. It was so freaking close. It could have gone either way, truly. As Arizona, you know, really put a spirited comeback for sure. You know, they score 3 touchdowns, 21 unanswered points before our game-winning field goal, you know, at the very last second. You know, it was a great win for the program, man. It feels good to get a BCS victory. You know, feels good. You know, team is going in the right direction for sure. Definitely a team that should have had a chance to compete for a national championship, but it's whatever. Kirk Zeiger, you know, 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's great in his final collegiate game. Casey Jackson doing the same thing too, 31 for 135 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Receivers, Zach Graham had himself a huge day. He's up to a 91 overall as a sophomore. That's phenomenal. 11 for 141, 2 touchdowns, with Bo Jordan putting in that work too. 5 and 107 with another touchdown on the ground. Max Pierce was surprisingly quiet, 1 for 13. Hopefully that doesn't hurt his draft stock too much, but we'll just have to wait and see. Blocking, you know, we had quite a few pancakes, which is really good to see. And then Barrett Burgess actually led the way in tackles, 12 tackles and 5 of them being TFLs. We did not get to this quarterback, unfortunately, but we did have multiple interceptions, both by our junior corner, Donald White. There's no other turnovers, but we did what we needed to do to win this BCS Bowl game. Feels good to win a New Year's Six Bowl, man. We accidentally hit the onside kick button instead of the sim button, so I guess we're going to have to go through with it. It's not letting me call timeout for whatever reason. We almost get it, though. But we not a good way to start things off. Going bold though, you know, but that probably will kill us here at the end of the day. Let's go ahead and actually go into the sim though. Hopefully that's not going to go ahead and kill us here, but Arizona's going to score a touchdown, and that's kind of what I expected. And we're getting a very big methodical drive going, and that turns into 6 points, but we missed the extra point. So we're down 7-6. Arizona does tack on a few extra points on the board. We're down 10-6. So, you know, despite the onside kick, we're still very much in this game. Got to be able to put together another great drive, though. Defense going to certainly be put to the test, but we had one of the best defenses in the entire country, though. As we drive downfield, we get ourselves another touchdown, and we get another touchdown after that off a turnover, baby. And we're piling on the points here. We get to halftime. We're up 23-10 here in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, man. So we're looking good so far, you know, all things being considered. Just gotta go ahead and try and finish strong here in this second half. We're still up 23-10 here midway through the third quarter. We don't tack on any points. Feels like a missed opportunity, and Arizona pounces on it. They cut it down to a one-score game. So it's 23-17 going into the final quarter. You know, let's see if we can finish them off. A touchdown and a 2-point conversion too. Another touchdown here again. Let's go, baby. Up 38-24. We got a 2-score lead. Things are looking good, but Arizona gonna fight back. It's now 38-31. Arizona with a chance to tie, and they do it. They tied the game, but we get a game-winning field goal. We almost blew a 3-possession lead. I swear to God, man. But we win the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. It was so freaking close. It could have gone either way, truly. As Arizona, you know, really put a spirited comeback for sure. You know, they score 3 touchdowns, 21 unanswered points before our game-winning field goal, you know, at the very last second. You know, it was a great win for the program, man. It feels good to get a BCS victory. You know, feels good. You know, team is going in the right direction for sure. Definitely a team that should have had a chance to compete for a national championship, but it's whatever. Kirk Zeiger, you know, 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's great in his final collegiate game. Casey Jackson doing the same thing too, 31 for 135 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Receivers, Zach Graham had himself a huge day. He's up to a 91 overall as a sophomore. That's phenomenal. 11 for 141, 2 touchdowns, with Bo Jordan putting in that work too. 5 and 107 with another touchdown on the ground. Max Pierce was surprisingly quiet, 1 for 13. Hopefully that doesn't hurt his draft stock too much, but we'll just have to wait and see. Blocking, you know, we had quite a few pancakes, which is really good to see. And then Barrett Burgess actually led the way in tackles, 12 tackles and 5 of them being TFLs. We did not get to this quarterback, unfortunately, but we did have multiple interceptions, both by our junior corner, Donald White. There's no other turnovers, but we did what we needed to do to win this BCS Bowl game. Feels good to win a New Year's Six Bowl, man. So on our way for us to get this BCS Bowl victory, we do break a handful of records. Max Pierce, he breaks the school career record for most receiving yards in a career, held by Justin McCarnis, who was it's nearly stood for 16 years, but you know, we finally went up and broke it, and that's actually the only record that we ended up breaking. But hey, we finished 13-1 once again. And we're starting to get respect from the nation, as you know, we didn't go you know, undefeated like I was hoping for. If we did go undefeated, we would have certainly been in that national championship game. There was no debating on that. It is what it is though, so now we'll have to go ahead and progress into the off season. So at this point, since this is going to be our last off season in our 5-year Dynasty Wars challenge that we're gonna do, we're going to get through this offseason a little bit quicker. We did get a couple of new coordinators, which both seem to be pretty good, to be fair. We are losing a transfer, though, due to playing time. Michael Silver was eventually going to be our middle linebacker of the future, but we're going to end up losing him to Tulsa. Max Pierce, we improve his draft stock from round 6 all the way up to round number 1 with Kirk Zeiger. He's going to end up being drafted in the 6th round. Doug Alexander is also trying to declare, but we're going to put the stop to that because he is a day free pick. And we actually haven't, you know, swayed him just yet. We're going to guarantee a national championship. And, you know, just because this is our last year anyways, so, you know, we can do, you know, big stuff like that. And we're losing quite a bit of really skilled people in this class. Zeiger, Mac Pierce, Kelvin Owens, who was our backup quarterback actually. Doug Alexander, you know, we got him to stay, but, you know, we're losing a few key pieces, man. We're going to have to try to reload and, you know, get ready to go here in Season 5. So, With this being our very last season, you know, not worried too much about recruiting, but that being said, you know, here at signing day, we do have free scholarships remaining. I am putting most of my points into Chad Pollard because he's a 4-star guy, you know, and he's a 77 overall guy that can help us out right away. Kalika Patton and Josh Garnett, on the other hand, though, you know, I'll put some points into him because we do have some remaining scholarships to work with. But that being said, you know, if we don't get him, that's fine. If we do get him, cool. You know, that doesn't guarantee you make it onto the squad or anything. But that being said, you know, it helps fill out the recruiting class, and we do have a few leftover scholarships remaining. And speaking of which, we actually put together the number 2 ranked recruiting class, you know, here in season number 4. 2 5-stars and 5 4-stars. So the recruit class is coming together really well. You know, if we get everything that we want, maybe we can push South Carolina, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So we ended up signing 2 of the 3 guys that we wanted, and like I said before, Kalika Patton and both Josh Garnett, you know, if we didn't get them, it's not the end of the world. And Northwestern stole them, which, I mean, we're perfectly fine with that. But we did secure Chad Pollard, who's a 4-star guy, 6'3" too. On top of it, he's going to be a really big help for us right away. And we've still put together a really darn good recruiting class. We ended up with the 4th best recruiting class in the country. 2 5-stars, 6 4-stars, and 11 3-stars as well. We fill out our entire recruiting class. I'm excited to see what we can do on the field. Let's see if we can improve our ratings, and let's see if we can finally make a national championship here in year 5. So we get over to position changes, and I'll tell you what, y'all, we ended up with quite a few athletes on the roster, man. Now, where to put them, though, that gets really interesting. We got to put ourselves in a position to, you know, to compete as much as possible, and unfortunately, we didn't get that great of a, you know, we didn't get much help at, you know, some of the positions that I want, but, you know, we can go ahead and put these athletes at other positions on the field as well, just to make sure that we can do the most as possible. Probably going to put people everywhere except quarterback, simply because, you know, we, can't really do anything with them. I'm trying to make as much of a push as humanly possible. Now, whether we are successful in managing to do that or not, you know, that's going to be an interesting thing to see. But, you know, that being said, you know, you don't knock it till you try, you know what I'm saying? Ooh, we got a 71 overall center. Love to see that. Let's see if there's any other good positions for this guy. Nope, looks like this guy is an offensive lineman. Let's see where we can go ahead and put David Mack to finish. He's also an offensive lineman, actually. I'm going to put him at center for right now, and then I'll sweep for the rest of the roster real quick and figure out what else I want to do. So wide receiver, we're looking pretty solid. You know, we'll have a couple of guys that can contribute right away for a national championship chase. Tight ends looking solid. I'm not liking this left guard spot. I'm not gonna lie. Might move some people over there. Actually, it's center though. We're looking a little light, so we'll actually move Patrick Bishop to right guard, and then David Mack's gonna move to right tackle. So that we get a little bit of depth. Don't really like the this offensive line that we put together so far. I'm not gonna lie. That worries me just a tad. But we can go ahead and always figure out a way to put it all together. At the end of the day, we got a ton of outside linebackers as well. The outside linebacker room is looking stupid right now, man. So we'll go ahead and put him over at the right outside linebacker position. Corner, Philip Miranda can step in, you know, as a nickel corner for us right away if we need him to. Free safety, and yeah, we'll see what happens with you know, training results. You know, things will look a little bit better after that. Alright, so we get to the training results, and you know, we do have quite a few of NFL prospects. That includes Zach Graham, Duck Alexander, Casey Jackson, and John Ross up in here, baby. Terrence Richardson, though, is going to be our starting quarterback, and he's arguably going to be our worst starting quarterback throughout this whole rebuild. But, you know, we do have a decent amount of, like, talent around him, particularly at the skill positions. We have 4 wide receivers at 80 overall or better. That's going to be really good, and that will help us, you know, get through conference play really well. The big question here is if our offensive line, though, can stand up besides Doug Alexander, who's an NFL guy, so I'm not too worried about him. But yeah, man, we you know, we put together at least, like, we have at least an 80 overall at most of these starting positions. So, you know, we're looking pretty good overall, man. We just got to make sure we put it all together. And yeah, man, let's go to cut players so that we can trim out this roster one more time. So things are going to get really interesting now because we have 10 cuts that we need to make. And, you know, like I said, you know, before, and I'll say it again, I'm always going to go ahead and trim from the bottom, simply because, you know, at this point in the Dynasty, you know, Dynasty Wars, I need the best players that we can possibly get, you know, and if you can't help me, you know, this season, then, you know, you got to go, my guys. So this is going to be our final 70, and I will show you now the schedule for season number 5, the last season of the Dynasty Wars, against a subscriber that had the audacity to challenge me. So this right here is going to be our schedule in season number 5, and you know, we got one tough game, but then after that it should be a cakewalk. You know, we take on Nebraska on the road. It should be an exciting top 25 matchup actually, but after that we get an FCS Les, Marshall, and California to round out our non-conference schedule. Then we have Akron, Central Michigan, Ball State, which is a rivalry game, Kent State, Buffalo, EMU, Toledo, which is another rivalry game, and Western Michigan to close things out. You know, not going to worry about recruiting, not going to worry about redshirting. I'll catch you guys when we finish with the non-conference slate here in season number 5. Alright, man, so we start off this season 3-1 yet again, and this time we barely lose to Nebraska. We were right there. We lost 23-17 in overtime. Nebraska got a walk-off touchdown at their home stadium, so we almost got the upset, but it just wasn't meant to be. But other than that, we did a really good job of taking care of business, beating FCS West. We beat Marshall, and we beat Cal, you know, usually very convincingly as well, but we're still ranked number 19 in the nation, and now we go into our non-conference slate. I'll catch you guys when we are at our bye week to see what went down with the rest of the season. Alright guys, so we did go ahead and sim all the way to conference championship week, and we're in a similar situation than what we were in last season. We're ranked number 4 in the country, we're 11-1, and we could use a little bit of help, man, I'm not gonna lie. But that being said, it's not impossible for us, you know, to go ahead and, you know, go to the playoffs this season. This time around, I'm checking the BCS polls, and look at that, we're also ranked number 4. Hey, BCS is gonna give us a little bit of respect. I love to see that. Looks like West Virginia will be guaranteed in because of Big 12, at least here in you know, in NCAA 14, they don't have a conference championship game. So we gotta hope on Clemson losing to Virginia Tech, and then maybe Nebraska losing to Ohio State potentially as well. It's splitting hairs between us and them, but you know, that being said, you know, we have to take care of business against Miami of Ohio, man. We're 4-0 in these conference championship games. Let's see if we can make it 5-0. Let's get it, man. Alright, man, we are here at the MAC championship game once again. We're trying to make it 5 for 5 here as we get a stop here early and get an early touchdown as well. So we're already up 7-0. You know, and then at this point, Miami getting a huge touchdown run. Oh my. And Miami could actually go ahead and take the lead here. They got a nice drive going here. You know, could punch it into the end zone, and they do end up doing that. So the Red Hawks, they do go ahead and take a 14-7 lead. Now a 21-7 lead. We're in a little bit of trouble now. We do get a touchdown to make this a 1-score game as we're trying desperately to fight them off. Red Hawks with another touchdown as we're down 28-14 here. So defense not playing as good as we're accustomed to, but That being said, though, we do get the ball to start the second half. Let's see if we can take over, and come back and win this football game potentially. But, maybe we don't have anything left in the tank. Is this the Red Hawks' year potentially? Can we at least make it a one-score game? Not before the end of this quarter, but that being said, we are, in a first and goal situation. So hopefully that does mean that we can punch it into the end zone. We don't, though. And yeah, we're in some serious trouble, you guys. Miami could potentially pull off the upset. It's now 31-14. And it's just not our day, man. We just can't get it done at the end of the day. We lose by a final score of 31-14. You absolutely hate to see it, just kind of drop the ball a little bit. Terrence Richardson wasn't terrible, but he wasn't fantastic at the same time. 371 yards, but only 1 touchdown to show for it, though. On the ground, we couldn't even get much of anything going. Terrence Richardson, though, did get into the end zone on the ground as well. So Terrence Richardson did have 2 total touchdowns in this game, with John Ross actually catching a pass out of the backfield for 24 yards and getting into the end zone that way. But still not a great performance either way. Zach Graham did have 8 for 137, and Bo Jordan had 5 for 106. As for blocking, we had some more pancakes than sacks, but not as good as what it usually has been. I know offensive line was concerned for us going in, and maybe it showed a little bit right there, but Chris Banks, led us in tackles. He had 10 total tackles in this one. We did not get to this quarterback, and it seems like we didn't force any turnovers either, unfortunately. So we didn't win the turnover battle, and that's, that showed right there, man. So we'll see what bowl game that will go to. Probably the Quick Lane Bowl or something like that. So we don't get to go to a New Year's Six Bowl because we did lose in the conference championship game, but we get to go to a different bowl game than the Quick Lane Bowl that we went to the first 3 seasons. We go to the Hurricane Independence Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana, where we'll go ahead and take on the Oregon Ducks. This will be the last game that we'll have here in this Dynasty Wars. I'll go ahead and show it to you guys here. Same thing, going to go ahead and try and do a super sim, and let's see if we can finish this Dynasty Wars on top. Go ahead and take care of business here, man. Come on. Alright, so it may not be the bowl game that we wanted to go to at the end of the season, but it's still a pretty decent bowl game that we get to go to here at the end of the day. Now, let's go ahead and see if we can come out on top in our final bowl game in this Dynasty Wars. We don't go 5-0 in MAC Conference Championships, but we can at least go 5-0 in bowl games. But we're on to a slow start here once again. We're down 7-0 here early. Offense still trying to find some sort of groove, but we do end up getting to the red zone. A long methodical drive that turns into 7 points for us. But Oregon gonna quickly respond, get a field goal up on the board. We try to respond before the end of the half, but we are just short, man. So we're down 10-7 here at the half. Trying to respond here with a second half score. We do get the ball first to begin the second half, but we don't get those points in the second half. And we're trying to come back. We're trying to win this game, but our defense can only do so much. Our offense has to come through at some point. We're down 13-7. It's a really defensive battle here at this point of the game, and we have to go for touchdowns. We can't settle for field goals at this point. Oregon with another field goal, that makes it a 2-possession game. We do get into the end zone, and we do also get the ball back. Can we come and win this thing? No, we don't. Oh, hang on. Yeah, no, we don't, unfortunately. We lose this one as well. 19-14, actually. It's a tough one to lose, especially because it's been a really good rebuild overall. It's just, just didn't go our way at the end of the day. Terrence Richardson, 255 yards, 1 touchdown, and an interception in this one. Casey Jackson, though, 27 carries, 121 yards, and a tub in this one as well. Yeah, just couldn't get any offense going, man, unfortunately. It is, really sad. But Zach Graham was pretty solid, 11 for 130 with a touchdown. But he was carrying that receiving core, and he had free drops as well, which kind of sucks. Doug Alexander had 10 pancakes. That's, a really good look for us, and he should be at least a day 2 pick, for the NFL draft. And then on the defensive side of the ball, David Hall and Manning Perkins each had 12 total tackles in this one. We only had 1 sack though. That was David Hall, and we also only forced 1 turnover, it seemed like, which is really tough because we could have easily won this game. But I mean, again, our defense can only do so much. The offense did not come through for us here today, man. But you know what? All things being considered, we still had a really successful rebuild. We had 5 consecutive 10-win seasons. That's really difficult to do. I wish we ended up on a higher note. I wish we would have won our conference championship and our bowl game, but it just didn't turn out that way, unfortunately. But, still a great rebuild. Shout out to my guy, Husky, who challenged me to the Dynasty Wars. I believe he posts somewhat frequently on his YouTube channel. I'll leave that down in the description, as well as his videos if you want to check out his version and try to compare to see if if I won the Dynasty Wars or if he won the Dynasty Wars. I feel pretty good. I personally feel like I won this thing, but let me know down in the comments what you think, how I did with this Northern Illinois rebuild with the base NCAA 14 rosters. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, encourage you to smash that like button. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, first of all, you're the real MVP, because I know this is going to be a long video just from me trying to record this joint. But also, hit that subscribe button for me if you're brand new and you still made it all the way to the end of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off, but I hope you guys are all out there having a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.